Alrighty. Sweet.
We made it.
We did it. Is the streaming in the Discord still working?
Yep, we're all good.
Awesome. Cool. And looks like sound is working. I can see the
Part of the crew.
what does that say?
Turn that down.
Part of the
Finally
crew,
hear it.
part of the
It's
ship.
so loud on my end.
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew, part of the ship. Welcome aboard, Miss Titan K3. Thanks so much for joining us. I hope you're doing well this Sunday evening, or I'm assuming it's Sunday evening wherever you are. It could be, would it be Monday? Blizzard.
It'll be Monday morning.
Is it Monday morning where you're at right now? Yeah. Yeah, welcome everybody to episode 53 of the Pathfinders podcast. I am Tree0311 here with my partner in crime and good friend.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Naz. I run the NoForge org, and I also run the NoForge YouTube channel and Twitch channel. There
Very good, very good. And we are the Pathfinders, and we are charting the way through all the nebulous information surrounding Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and their development. So, and speaking of that little quote that we came up with, it is my goal at CitizenCon to corral Jared for just a minute and get him to say that for me on camera.
Ooh, nice.
So that way I can put it into our intro video here, have that play right before we transition in, because that would be just so cool.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, tonight we're going over the combined monthly reports for Star Citizen and Squadron 42 for the month of July 2023. Let's see, Miss Titan K3 says doing pretty good, just chilling before getting back to work tomorrow. Same. Yeah, it's been a long weekend for me. I had a 3-day drill Friday through Sunday. So yeah, and I had one day off last week from Sunday to this Sunday because of work and drill, and I have to work tomorrow. But at least I get Tuesday and Wednesday off, so that'll be nice to have a little break.
Yeah. I don't have work tomorrow, so
Nice.
I worked, well, for me a long day Saturday, but for most people it's not a long day. It was just what of it. I think it was actually technically an 8-hour shift, which is not long, but it feels long. So my first job was 4 hours every day. It was 4 hours every weekday, and that was like real nice. I come to this job and it's like, one, it's random what shifts I get, but I'm used to like 4 or 5 hour shifts, and then randomly they'll go like, you're working 8-9 hours in one day. Just like there's no ramp up, there's no getting used to it for me. There's just randomly input, and like I am not a good physical worker. Apparently my health is actually pretty bad right now. I'm working on that. I thought it was a lot better, but like this last week, some stuff happened, which was not fun. So yeah, I don't work tomorrow. Then I have another 9 hours on Tuesday. What weird days.
Well, and
So,
long days are
content.
relative too, because a long day of doing, depending on what you're doing, because certain things like, a long day of, being behind the bar, like I feel for bartenders and serving staff and everything, because even if you do, 6 hours or something like that, it especially in a fast paced environment, oh man, it's brutal, and like for me, I work 12 and 24 hour shifts, and everybody's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, a lot of the times, we have lots of downtime. Like my last shift, I didn't have a single call, but the shift before had multiple, and so it's just a coin toss, and who knows what you're going to get. But yeah, it's, and when you just have multiple days in a row, like for you when the holidays come through, no kitty. Yeah.
He'll get it eventually.
Oh gosh, yes. 12, 14-hour shifts, working balls to the wall. Like when I worked on the ambulance in Reno, it was like that. And you do 4, 12 to 14-hour shifts in a week, usually in a row. And oftentimes you get mandated to do a 5th. If we were understaffed, or a 6th, then it was just brutal. And I'm like, nope, I don't do that anymore. I'm trying to work only part-time on the main job, and then just fly for the Army, when I feel like it, to make a little extra money. And stay current, because it's like I'm done killing myself. If I want to work hard, I'll go make my character work hard in a video game.
It's a great segue to me talking about what I'm doing.
Yeah, by all means, go for it.
Like from the beginning, I've always wanted to like actually get YouTube and stuff to actually start paying. So after falling off the cart, I don't know what the expression is. Anyway, back on it. I've actually worked on 3 different videos today. I'm hoping at least one of them comes out by the end of this upcoming week. But like the quality is going to be higher. My inspiration is slightly different because I'm trying to invent. Yeah, I'm trying to invent my own videos, basically. I'm trying to see what other people are doing to get inspiration for it, and then to use that to see where my inspiration or I think it's inspiration. Basically, where am I drawn to within that scope? So I'm going to be doing an interview video where I'm talking to people about how they got into Star Citizen, kind of what is Star Citizen to them. And then I have my own summary videos of the month report I'm going to be doing, which is much, much briefer than what we're going to be doing here. I want 10 minutes for the first, 5 teams for the Squadron one? Basically, I'm ending with the animation team, because that's the nice clickbait title is beta. So I got that, and I got some Space Neater stuff that I'm going to be doing, and then I started also working on a new, not should you buy videos, but they're going to be more like, it's going to kind of be like Wheatley's Guide shipped videos. So it's not going to be fully in lore. It is going to be using all of the data we have. We're going to start with all the starters, which is going to be weird because I am going to do variants on their own. So we're going to do the Aurora, ES is the starter edition. Then we're going to go Mustang starter edition. We're going to get through all the starters. Then I'll do like a collection video of all the starters and pros and cons of things. So I think that's going to be really nice. Graphics are going to be used. I have lots of graphics I want to be using. Art's being updated. Motion graphics are being learned. All the fun stuff. So if you're interested in less dense, I guess, and Star Citizen gameplay, Nova Forge on YouTube and Twitch.
Very good. Looking forward to seeing it. Not to mention the 24 or 48 hours, depending on what happens, CitizenCon watch stream. That's going to be really fun for us, I think. Because last year we did a CitizenCon predictions episode, and that was a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I think that went over pretty well. And then we did a review of CitizenCon afterwards, of course, which is really enjoyable. And I'm really looking forward to, I'm going to do as much as I can to capture as much stuff that, isn't the on-screen stuff that everybody else is going to see. And that way I can share that with everybody. We'll do a recap, and we'll do it with in our other screen where we have the screen up, and that way I can show you guys any pictures or videos that I get, and we can do a recap with that, as well as obviously getting a hold of the developers is really hard, but I'm hoping that I can ask a few questions and just some casual meet and greet stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. The other part that I'm really excited about is there's a number of us from here in Boise in our Boise Bar Citizen group. We actually have a Bar Citizen event this next Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to, because I missed the last one while I was gone. But there's a number of us that are going, and so we're all going to meet up and have a really good time. And so I'm really looking forward to getting some good pictures and hanging out with our group and being able to experience it together, and then to share that with all of you guys. So stay tuned for that. Next Sunday is the next episode currently scheduled of the Armchair Admirals and Generals podcast. And so Atir Kel, who who is a content creator in his own right. If you can hear my kid in the background, I apologize. It's bedtime. We're almost that. He's going to be joining me, as well as Solus, who is a content creator who does the Beyond the Verse podcast. And so Atir Kel, current Army Intel officer, former tank platoon officer, and combat veteran. And then Sullus is a former, I forget what the actual job title MOS is, but he's an 18 Delta. So he was a officer in charge of an Army Special Forces team. And so we're going to be getting together, and kind of like how Night Cobb and Sergeant Tickles and I talked about using components and subcomponents and tuning in order to, sort of fine tune and align your ship to do the job that you want it to do, to basically, almost customize it for your gameplay. What we're going to be talking about next Sunday is doing the same thing, but for your armor. So the previous episode was called The Right Tool for the Job. I haven't come up with a catchy name for this one, but it's the same sort of thing, but in regards to having the right kit. So picking, having the right armor, light, medium, heavy. We know that there's going to be a lot of differentiation in armor in terms of what they can equip and what they can do, and not just for combat, of course, for industry type things. There's going to be benefits to
Here's a pitch: sharpest tool in the shed.
Yeah. Oh, nice. I like it.
Part of the crew, party, man. Part of the crew, party.
Richter Scale, thanks so much for the follow. Really appreciate it. But yeah, so it'll be a really fun conversation, because part of it's going to be sort of like planning, around knowing, hey, this is what I want to go do. This is where I want to go do it. Whether you have the mission or a contract, or you're just sandboxing around. Part of it's knowing, what the environment is, what the requirements are for the job, but then also talking about, okay, what are, if these are the requirements, what kit do you need? What sort of stuff do you can expect? And then, a little bit of talk about where, what we know about where Star Citizen is going with the customization of your armor and your weapons and your tools, not just cosmetic, but also what else we might like to see, what we're hoping they might do in order to help differentiate things and give us lots of deep customization options and make it, that really engaging. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
We're gonna touch the why they'll never transmog in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
I hear that like at least quarterly, at most like weekly. Like somebody's like, we should be able to transmog. That's physically impossible, and they're going for a realistic kind of game. They will let you paint your armor. They've said something about wanting to do that, but physically making the armor a different looking armor than what it is built for is not something they're going to be doing.
Yeah. Well, and your armor is going to have essentially component slots, and certain armors and suits, will be EVA capable. There's going to be all sorts of different tools that you can equip to do different things. There's going to be a lot of depth to it.
5 years down the road, inventory, I guess, but basically, like, what do you have on your ship in 5 years? Like, what items do you bring along? Do you bring along, like, you're probably going to bring along at least a suit of just normal clothing. There's probably going to be able to have guns and clothing at that point, so you'll probably have something like a pistol or something with you. Most people don't bring pistols with them right now. And then you'll have your undersuit, your backup undersuit, your third backup undersuit, your jetpack or your EVA jetpack that only goes on undersuits. And you're probably going to have components for different suits, because the bigger a suit you have, the more components are going to be able to fit, assuming the ship rule works. And then within those suits, much like ships again, they're going to have specializations. That's why we're going to have salvage armor, and like mining armor, like the Grey Cat ones right now are mining focused.
Well, and like they talked about in CitizenCon, the scanning. Not every armor or suit can do that. And
then we also have the environmental ones. What environments do you think you're going to go into? Like on a Carrack, you're probably going to have a lot of variety in what you're bringing. Like, I want both the SMG, the LMG, the sniper rifle, and the grenade launcher, as well as the heat, cold, radiation, acid suits, as well as some basic explorer suits. We're not going to be bringing salvage or mining suits because that's not what the exploration's for. Like, it's an exploration ship. But something on like the Orion, you're going to have a ton of the mining suits, and with all different components, probably all different lasers. We're probably going to have an industrial mining laser for people. Like, they've created this not scaffold, what's the framework, where they have so much stuff to fill in. But filling in that stuff is going to bring so much fun and variety into the game. It's going to be really cool. Mining people. I did not say mining people. I said mining lasers for... No, I guess that English, you can use that.
That's
mining
my
lasers
job.
for people. You can, mining lasers, industrial mining lasers for people to use on rocks there. That is the proper way to not let it be stolen by people.
Yeah. But anyway, before we go on too much of a tangent, we obviously Nazeris and I need to do a spectrum pulse on this as well, and we're going to, because there is some information out there. There's not as much, obviously, like when Nazeris and I did the resource the what did we call it? We had to break it up into 2 parts because there's so much information on components and subcomponents and resource management and engineering. There's a lot of information on that. There's not nearly as much on armor, so we'll make a spectrum pulse out of it and give you all the nitty gritty details. But I'm looking forward to that conversation with the guys next Sunday. So stay tuned for that. It's in the events in my Discord. I'll be posting about it on Twitter as we get closer. So stay tuned for that. If you're not already in my Discord, please consider joining. It's the best way to stay up to date on these things. But yeah, and of course it'll get posted to YouTube. Yeah. Yep.
So I just put in the notes, everyone. So you all know it's in the notes. Clothing, suits, and armor to be covered at a later date. But apparently, yeah, we still have medical scenarios, depth of the spaceman, physicalized damage, difficulty in SC, all stuff in the back burner. We've just had a lot of like actual news, like the roadmap and the month reports going on this month. So like, yeah, we'll get to it. It's fine.
Yeah, we've got time.
Especially when we get into the new year, like January, February, we're gonna have time.
Yeah, when we get into the news drought. The other thing is, so I tried the other day to do start a 0 to hero on my alt that only has a cutter. Well, I'm an idiot, and I didn't realize that when the cutter was released, I bought the standalone ship with LTI and not the package with LTI. So I was like, why can't I get in game? And it took me like 45 minutes of troubleshooting to realize I didn't have a game package. And then I bought a game package.
You melt it and get a game package?
Well, yeah, so what I ended up doing is I just bought the cutter game package and I gifted the LTI cutter to my main. So that way, yeah. But yeah, so I'm affectionately calling my cutter for my 0 to hero, my alt, the loot goblin. And so I'm going to have some art commissioned with a little loot goblin on it in order to make announcements for what I'm doing 0 to hero stuff with it. And if you've seen the art that I had made and I'm having made into a patch for the relic hunts with the vomit comet, it's going to be along the same veins. But so I'm looking forward to that. But I did test it out. Now the account works and the cutter works, so we're all good to go. So I'm either Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm probably going to be streaming for a couple hours, either in the afternoon and or the evening, doing some 0 to hero stuff. So stay tuned for that announcement. Nice. But that's all I've got for today before we jump into the monthly reports. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we got it.
Oh, I hear the kid in the background again.
Apologies. Almost half an hour in already.
Yeah. Space dad life. Alrighty, let's get over to the monthly reports. I'm going to switch screens. 3, 2, 1.
I need so many other windows to be where I need them to be. That's a new tab. That is concierge. Where? Need that over there. And that one over there. I need like 5 more screens, and then I'll be happy, I swear.
All right, it's me starting off AI content with Squadron first, but why don't you read the preamble or whatever we call those?
Sure.
Prologue or...
All right. So, as we are to do when we are reading directly from and not paraphrasing CIG documents, we like to read the headers to make sure that the reason of these documents, since it is from CIG, is conveyed to you, the listeners. So, for the PU monthly report or the Star Citizen monthly report, it says July 2023. Welcome to July's PU monthly report, where you'll find the latest development progress on everything related to the persistent universe. Read on for in-depth updates on vehicles, locations, AI tech, maps, and more. Then for the Squadron 42 side, because there's an email, they have this long, who it's supposed to be 4 and 2. I'm not going to read that. But basically, Squadron 42 recruits. Welcome to July's Squadron 42 development report. Enclosed, you'll find details on the latest progress made across the campaign, including ship UI, weapon aiming, and fire propagation. Thank you for your continued support of Squadron 42. Sincerely, CIG Communications. All right. That I messed up somewhere.
Oh,
Sorry, not something critical, just the little legend over here somehow messed up. It's fine.
that do happen. And before I launch into this, I've been bad about it the last couple times. I just got to do a quick plug. If you don't already know, if you've missed the little things in chat, we are all content on my channel, both here and on YouTube. All monetization goes directly to stackup.org in its entirety. I actually need to make the next payment because I got some money. So if you have to watch the ads, then you know that ad revenue goes to stackup.org and their mission. If you subscribe to the channel here on Twitch, that money goes to stackup.org. And if you just want to donate to a good cause, help veterans veterans and military members combat PTSD with the power of gaming and gaming communities, please consider donating. So I just have to give that plug, and you'll see the little things in chat as they pop up, and you can use that link. And on top of that, the other week, after I was on the Citizen Central podcast with Space Tomato, Astropub, Salty Mike, and Morphologist, I broke the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. And so now my ads are being monetized on YouTube, and it's not much, but it's a little bit. Every little bit helps. So I'm really excited to see that little dollar number grow every day with more and more views. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, to watching the content that Nazeris and I put together, and all the positive feedback that we've received. We really appreciate the comments and you guys being here live and hanging out with us. So and also that contributes to helping stackup.org and their mission. And we're last I checked, we are like just shy of the $1,000 mark all total. So I actually need to reach out to them and see if they've gotten all the donations from Twitch, because the Twitch takes the donations that you give to them for StackUp, and they pay it out to StackUp or the charities like on a quarterly basis, and so it doesn't get updated automatically. So I think we're just shy of $1,000, and $1,000 is when we get a loot crate. We get to sponsor a loot crate for a veteran or service member in need. And so that's been the goal for this year. I think we're easily going to eclipse it and then some. So thanks so much, everybody. We love you. But anyway, so before I get all over Klimt, last month, AI content, Squadron 42. And this is just Squadron, right? Yeah, just Squadron.
Yep.
So last month, AI content made a strategic decision to concentrate resources on a single location, which brought several benefits, one being a more iterative review process, as they now meet daily with leadership and receive detailed feedback, allowing them to raise the quality bar to a shippable level. Allowing them to raise the quality bar to a shippable level. So, granted, this is they're coming out swinging in these monthly reports, but so granted, this is just one location, but this is really important because by doing this, and okay, we're going to start with this location, and then we're going to move on to this one and this one and this one in a sequence until they're done. by starting it out this way and getting this detailed feedback from the leadership team, it allows them to know, hey, this is the quality bar, this is what we want, this is what we're aiming for, and it makes it easier for them to hit that on the next locations down the line as they go down and go through each one to get each one shippable. And this is the AI content, so this is the AI within the location. But this is really important because essentially, one location down, move on to the next, and the next one, because they have already gotten this feedback, it will require less iteration, less review for them to hit that shippable level with the next location. But the fact that they're on this march means that they when they say they're getting things to a shippable level like this, it means that the AI content in this location is content complete. And now they're polishing, which is what you do when you go from alpha to beta. Once you become content complete, and granted this is just AI in this location, but that's part of you're going to see this sort of language, going forward in other teams, like we saw in last month's report.
Now, we don't get to see the not landing zone, what are they called? Level design teams on here. I don't think even the Squadron 42 side has had much level. Oh, no, there's a level design. I wonder if we'll know when they start working on episode 2. Because if AI content is in the... I don't want to say beta because it's not technically beta yet, because they're going from a mid-alpha straight to mid-beta. They're kind of skipping over that threshold. Actually, they're going to end of beta because they call it shippable. So that's end of beta.
Yeah. They're doing it all in one fell swoop for their content.
So they're going like mid alpha to end of beta, just every single location at one time, or not every at each location at a time. There. So when they're done with the game, they're going to need work to move on to, and as they said several times, and as much as we hate it, Squadron 42 episode 2 is a higher priority than Star Citizen. But on the good side, it does mean the money made from these will greatly help Star Citizen. So, and once Squadron 42 episode 3 is done, they will already know which single player game they're moving on to. It's not going to be, because like a lot of devs do not do multi, like, what is it called? A lot of devs only either work on single player or multiplayer games. There's a lot. There's some overlap, and a lot of like art stuff can be either or. But by and large, at least as I've seen it, it's normally you work on one type or the other. So it makes sense, and we also get more stories. So yeah, there is a level design we'll cover later, but they're going to need stuff in 6 months or so, 12 months, however long they need for this. And
some will move on to
content for.
Yeah, some will move on to episode 2, but I do think that because the PU AI has been held back by server meshing for so long, it didn't make sense for a lot of these people to work on PU AI. And a lot of the AI work that they've been doing has been in locations, both like on the Idris, on the Bengal, on what is it, Archon, Shubin Station, these a lot of these behaviors, and a lot of those will get reused, and a lot of those will get integrated into SC. So it's really interesting to see how it progresses, especially with we're only going to get static server meshing, sometime early next year is the goal, because obviously could happen. We could see it in Evocati at the end of this year. We'll see. But either way, it's just static server meshing. And it's not going to make a huge big deal on the AI initially. But as they progress to dynamic server meshing, they're going to need to make sure that, okay, we've removed this roadblock that is server meshing, or have removed it largely. We need to make sure the AI is caught up, once that roadblock is removed and we're not still using the old AI. And it's not just the combat AI, whether it's FPS or on ships, it's the location-based AI in the cities, on the stations, the different points of interest. And so that's going to be a big undertaking.
I think the last paragraph is going to be a lot more relevant to Star Citizen's AI. But it's not necessarily like the server meshing that I'm waiting for AI. Like that's great and all, but I'm waiting for not even the quantum and the virtual NPC systems, but it's the dynamic NPC systems.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a third tier down in like not priority, but like glamour as far as the service goes. But that's going to be the thing that lets the game basically do the socks version of NPCs. When no one's there, it's going to be able to unload all these NPCs that they don't need. So when we're in an area, it will only load in the NPCs we need. It's not going to have to load in every NPC. Let's say we go to Yella, so it now needs to know all the NPCs around Yella just so it works. Like, it can be able to unload them dynamically and then load in a different composition of AIs depending on the time. So we have a lot more tech for Star Citizen that's needed for AIs to make them truly performant, so we can actually get all the tech that's being put in to Squadron.
Sorry for the tangent, but when they say stuff like this, obviously we have to put things into context, and sort of talk about what that means. But it's good to hear this, because it's also, this last part. Additionally, this fostered greater teamwork and knowledge sharing among team members, expanding developer skill sets. And that's what I like to see, because you have all these creative people who are learning and growing in their careers, and that benefits them, and it helps them with their confidence and their abilities. But it also benefits us, the gamer, as they grow and they become, more proficient and more confident in their abilities and more productive. It means that these things get done sooner. It's a win-win. And so they're iterating on their process. They're working on, their pipeline. They've changed the pipeline to work on their content like this, and it's having a lot of benefits for them, and they're reporting that to us. And it's good to hear that. It's good to hear in terms of progress, but also good to hear, for these people. They also progressed with the hangar and mess hall locations. In the hangar, they introduced, interestingly, they didn't mention what that single location is, but sorry. In the hangar, they introduced an overseer behavior that underpins supervisors of the deck crew, ordnance officers, and fuelers. Pardon me. These supervisors dynamically interact with their colleagues using data pads and oversee their work, similar to a middle manager role.
What location did they not mention?
They didn't at the top. They just said made a strategic decision to concentrate resources on a single location.
Oh.
But then it says they also progressed. So I think like after that, or maybe before that decision. Middle managers. We all love middle managers. For the landing officer, they drew inspiration from aircraft carrier takeoff and landing videos to create realistic deck crew actions, which is really cool to me. I've never spent time on an actual aircraft carrier, but I spent a lot of time on what we call the big deck in the Marines, which is an LHD or an LHA, which essentially is a baby's first aircraft carrier. And so I've seen a whole lot of naval aviation based flight ops, as well as flight operations, on an actual ground based flight line, because I'm a flight paramedic with the Army National Guard. So see that stuff all the time. And it's really cool to me, especially when like I go through training. I have to go through a ton of aviation related training, which is, even though I'm a backseater, I have to be very knowledgeable and proficient in all these different processes, because I'm like the part of the checks and balances system for my pilots. And even though I don't have my hands on the stick, I need to know these things. And it's always really interesting to me when I hear them talk about this sort of stuff, how much research they do into how things are done in the military now in order to draw inspiration for what they're building. There's so much realism or near realism, that is brought in the game, and it's just really cool, especially from an aviation perspective. In the mess hall, scripted AI was added alongside random systemic interactions. This allows the team to implement more interesting actions that might be challenging to achieve with a solely systematic approach. For example, a new edition sees NPCs watch and react to a TV show. I wonder what they're going to be watching on TV. I want to see. Looking ahead, the team will shortly move on to various ship interior locations. Ooh. looking forward to hearing what those are and what sort of specific AI content they're going to be talking about. Tell me more about the med bay. Yeah. And next is AI features, which is Squadron for you.
Yes, I'm definitely not researching stuff right now. Okay. All right. Yes, I really like the scripted stuff because like that was one of the biggest questions I had. Like, can procedural AI really give as much flavor as they want? Because they've been talking about, we've wired up engineers to be able to go and check these things so they can do it dynamically. It doesn't matter if like the low component, high component, it's all procedural and dynamic. So I'm really glad to hear that they did run into a problem and they have a solution for it. And that's the scripted things, which will give a lot more. It gives flexibility for location specific things. So like you can have a lot more. You can have animations basically just like you have different clothing sets for different locations. Like maybe you'll have blackjack security doing some specific things that maybe general security doesn't do, or people in Orison lean a different way or walk a different way, or there's whale watching, right? Cloud watching, whale watching in Orison. That's not something you'll probably use dynamically, but it's something you can input as a animation to do specifically in kind of touristy zones. So this framework gives a lot of flexibility to do some higher level of flavor into these locations. So I actually really like that bit. All right. AI feature. In July, AI feature improved the quality of various behaviors, including unrestraining. For example, AI can now wake up while restrained and call out to others to come and rescue them. I just don't want that to turn into Navi. I can already hear like you in the middle of a firefight and some fellow NPC on your side got restrained or something, or is down and incapacitated, and he's just through the entire like half an hour battle, you just hear him screaming in the background.
Well, I talked about it in the boarding actions video because I talked about rescue missions, and I think that there's a really good probability that we will be able to undertake rescue missions on like pirate held stations, and where you'll have to board those stations in order to rescue people. Because they've shown us art of the outposts where they have like prison cells in the colonialism outposts that are the outlaw ones. And so I'm hoping we'll have that sort of gameplay as well on stations, asteroid facilities, and even, on ships, I'm sure. Yeah. But I can only imagine that behavior for somebody who is restrained or behind bars, help me, set me free.
Could you imagine trying to stealth into an area and you're the guy you're trying to rescue catches sight of you? Like, come help me. And because he screamed, they now know you're here. Oh, that's great.
Game over.
I hate it. Well, no, it'll just change like the scenario. Like, they know I'm here now. Okay, grenade launcher time. Instead of trying to stealth.
For the conversation next week on Armchair Admirals and Generals, you came equipped for stealth, and now you have to fight your way out, and you've got a silenced pistol.
Pew, pew, pew.
People, Light Cobb, I love it. What a good trope. People panic and are clueless. Story of my life.
That's
God.
That's like one of the things I really like about Star Citizen. Where
it's the least injured person that's screaming the loudest and going nuts asking for help.
And like in Star Citizen, there is no like levels per se. So it's basically you don't get to save and restart. You are there until you're done. So if you try stealthing into like, let's say the level in the CitizenCon demo with Microtech, he tried stealthing in, but the second he took that chip out, is like alarm started going off. Like, well, now what? So if you're like going in to save some guy and he cries out, the guards are now on high alert and they're doing their search patterns. You get to first hide, reassess, and then find whatever crap you can get your hands on. Probably hide around a corner, take out one of the guards. Then you get their gun, which is not a pistol, maybe even some of their armor to hide as one of them, Hitman style, right? Like, you just it never ends because something went wrong. You have to evolve with it, and it will continue evolving. Just all these things just snowball. Like it's great. Like we have a little bit of that in Star Citizen now, where like we're doing something, so it blows up our ship. Well, now we have to like survive. Hopefully, can call someone friendly for pickup, and then all the while, if we're doing a retrieval op, which I've done, you have guys landing on top of us trying to continue assaulting the base. It's great. I cannot wait till all this stuff comes over to Star Citizen and to play Squadron. Like, I can't wait to play Squadron. It's gonna be so much fun. Second paragraph. They also developed interfaces and behaviors for AI-driven vehicles equipped with specific radar gadgets. This enables the AI to locate enemies when they hide or move out of sight. So, yay, AIs using radars. This is great and terrifying because this works with you and against you. Work continued on close combat encounters to ensure that the AI locomotion performance looks good, which included integrating new performance capture animations. Environmental searches were also improved to allow NPCs to evaluate their environment and then attempt to flank the target using covered locations. The team are currently improving the combat behaviors that allow NPCs to use medpens to heal themselves in combat. I thought that was already a thing, but yay! They can now medpen themselves, which is the worst part. I don't know if you played Star Marine much, when you like get somebody down to like it's like 50 or below %. They've killed you, and you hear them just run off and just like, I could have had you, because you're like in Star Marine, you when you go down, you've gotten at least some shots on the other guy. You're just waiting to hear see the points come across the screen or that little med pen sound. It's always frustrating when like you're counting the seconds, like they can't bleed out for too long, and you hear it. It's like, dang it. So that's gonna
we've read about them using them on others, reviving either you or other NPCs or AI, but we haven't had them using it on themselves yet.
I figured it'd go the other way around. They'd learn to use them first, then on others.
But, yeah, it's kind of like when you're on an airplane, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself and then on somebody else. Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yep. AI feature continued to implement buddy AI, including a behavior that enables the buddy to crouch and locomote between cover. Yay! That could be not so dumb. Like, could you imagine if you were going between cover and he was just like, yep, following you? That would be terrible. Buddies now have improved reviving, acknowledging when the player is downed or unconscious. Yay! I imagine
the
this
buddy
is like
AI
auditory
is sounding
feedback.
Really great.
Yeah, and like this is the buddy AI they've said is the basis on which they would build and player crew AI. Mm-hmm. Like buddy AI is the thing that they'll branch off to get, like, because they're basically a crew of buddies is how the AI system will probably recognize it, because they're all following you. They all take orders from you. It'll just be basically a branch through in that, because in Squadron, you're on your own branch of the crew. Nobody's like under you, and you are only told by old man and the commander. I forgot his name. I forgot his position. The guy in the briefing room. Like, you don't have anything to do with pilots, the engineers, the what are they called? The people who clean the ship, the mess hall workers. Like, you don't have anything to do with them. Nothing to do with them. So, the buddy AI is the only, like, even in the game, even in Squadron, is the only people you actually get to help give commands and eventually in your ship. On the animation, yeah, go ahead.
So last little tangent, but the other thing that would be really cool is when they are able to port this over to SC. You know how sometimes when you go do bunker missions, you have friendly NPC security working with you? Because you don't have to have it be just your crew on your ship too. I mean, obviously we want that. But even, when there's friendly NPCs, on this job, this mission, this contract, be able to go in there, you obviously have positive reputation with them, and be able to run that mission, and you get down or you get injured or something, and one of them runs over and gets you back up. It's not mission failed. You have friendly NPCs, nearby. And then also, I know that the tech is in, but it obviously does. I've never had it work where I've been able to revive an NPC, but the tech is supposed to be in or done. But I have tried. Trust me. I have a.
I can imagine. Yeah, like
I have a thing with. I'm like, no, I can't let any of my squad mates die. I can't do it. In every video game, I have to have 100% survival, otherwise I start over again. But that'd be really, really great to be able to have that, both aspects of it. Gosh, we need every man, get up, soldier. You got, we got to keep fighting, or have them run. Someone runs over to you. Maybe they'd even do a drag to pull you into cover, and then they revive you. Like, that's the kind of NPC behavior that would be really incredible. Obviously, it's going to be a while till we get that, but they're building the behaviors to be able to do that. And once it's ported into Star Citizen and the server meshing is to a point where it supports it, that's the goal. This is what they're going for.
Yeah, and like in the same vein, imagine not just having your crew, but also what if there was a mission that, what are they called? One of my favorite ships in the game. That's not in the game. One of my favorite ships, not the Genesis Starliner. Maybe the Genesis Starliner is understaffed, and the mission is to go and staff it. Like, you are just part of the crew, right? You have to
part of the crew, part of the ship,
be an engineer on it, or be one of the hostess on it, or something. And so it lets the mission team also use this crew system, this buddy system or crew system, to give you partial tasks. So, like, be a person on a reclaimer, be a person on a Starliner, or be a cargo hauler just on someone else's ship as far as a mission goes. And then you get, to bigger ships. You got Krakens, Idrises, Javelins, Hull E's, D's, Orions, Endeavors eventually. But yeah, this is like the seed of all that kind of stuff being worked out. So the more stuff they put into Buddy AI, the higher or better jumpstart they will have for crew AI. And finally, on the animation side, polish was done on a variety of features, including grenade throwing, healing, unrestraining, crouching, sharp turns, and weapon reloads. Nice.
Cool.
Lots of stuff being done. When are we going to hear that they stop working on grenade throwing?
Polish was done. Polish. We like to hear about polish and the Polish and Polska kielbasa, and we're getting a new version. We already have chili dogs and double dogs, and now we're going to get Polska dogs. Anyway, so AI tech, and this is on both sides, the whole thing, correct? Yeah, PU and Star Citizen. Yeah. So we'll read it here on the Squadron 42 page.
Yeah.
So AI tech.
It's awesome. Squadron.
Mm-hmm. Last month, AI Tech finalized work to allow NPCs to transition between EVA and environments with gravity. Okay, when do I get this ability? Because I'd say it's a coin toss whether I break my ankles when I go from EVA to gravity. And
my problem right now is when I go out of my ship, I'll end up just going out like perfectly, just like go out and then spin 50,000 times and break my neck. And just like, my landings are pretty good. Like 9 times out of 10 land fine, but it's exiting a ship that is always terrible right now. It's only been like since 318 that this has been happening, maybe 317. It's just, but yeah, like the entire EVA system in Star Citizen is just being like patched until the new EVA system comes in.
Yeah. Give me the new EVA system, because this is the bulk of what I wouldn't say the bulk, but a large portion of what I want to do for my Zero to Hero account is going and finding doing the investigation style missions. Hey, this ship is missing, go and find the wreck and, identify these crew, or we need you to retrieve this cargo, find the black box, doing that for the derelict ships, whether it's, in space or on a planet, but especially in space, because you get to EVA around. That's the gameplay that I really want to do. That's the backstory for my Zero to Hero account, and using my cutter is, I want to have So I'm not going to talk about the leaks, but there's a leak that has me very excited about this gameplay in my Zero to Hero account. But anyway, I want to have just me and a tractor
It's
beam.
really something they need in the game, like next year, is being able to sell your ship in the game. Because I know which leak you're talking about, and imagine starting the game with your cutter, and even if you get like a used ship, like being able to sell your current ship in whatever condition it's in, and being able to put that either to a new ship or in whatever currency you've built up, or go to one of these reclamation sites that we've been hearing about with all these ship parts, and being able to get a hull at least with like maybe subpar components, like trash components. Maybe you were missing a shield or two. Maybe your coolant's trash, and so you like have to shut down like most of your stuff. And you have to build back up with this new hull. It's a better hull, and you have lots more to do with it. But it's you have this new progression thing. I think selling ships in game is something that will give even Zero to Hero accounts, but especially like accounts with lots of loaners and lots of big ships where they can just sell off the stuff they don't use, so they can put forth to components on the ships they do use to more stuff in game. I would love to see selling ships within next year.
Yeah, I just want to do
meaningful.
Investigation missions, and the way you make a little bit more money on that is just with light salvage. Okay, well I have because eventually there's the scanning part involved, and the way they're doing scanning in radar is so gamified realism, which is why I really like it. Hi, buddy. Oh, is it time to go bed? 1 second. Bunny, come here.
That's fine.
Bunny, come here. Hey, come see Dad. Oh, you got your box. You want to say hi to all the people? Look. Can you say hi? You're not going to say hi?
Nope.
You say it all day long. Yeah. Can you say hi? Can you say hi to all the daddy's friends? Yeah. You ready to go night-night?
Dude's halfway there already.
Yep. You're sleepy. All right. I'll see you in the morning, okay? You be good for mommy. Daddy loves you. Mwah.
He's so out of it.
He does not fight sleep time at all. He's the best sleeper ever. Which means we are so doomed for kid number 2. Anyway.
Oh no.
But yeah, being able to go and do those missions, and I'm gonna look, I found a couple components that are still in decent shape. I found some things in the lockers that I can steal, and I can drag them back to my cutter.
Not steal, salvage.
Salvage, yes, salvage rights, legitimate salvage. I need to add that to the sound bites. Okay, anyway, sorry, but that is my when I'm not doing my dropship pilot and hardcore marine combat medic stuff on my main. That's the stuff that I want to do on my alt for Zero to Hero. I love that gameplay. Even the missions now, I do those over and over and over again, just because it's even though the missions are very samey, it's still fun. Especially like on a planet where you're having to do a little bit of light platforming and find your way through the wreckage to find the box or find the bodies. Add more to it, expand it. That's where we go with it. I'm really excited. And I just need to be able to safely transition back and forth from EVA to Gravity.
Now, complete side tangent, because I can't find it. What is the difference between an actual carrier, like you were saying earlier, and an LHA? Because the images for an LHA are pretty actual carrier looking.
Yeah, but they also have a well deck, and they carry tons and tons of equipment that is not related to aviation. Somebody may have done a very detailed video on this.
I know there was yours, but did you mention the difference between an LHA and
a pure carrier is just devoted towards aviation and not the carrying, supporting landing of troops in their vehicles.
Okay. So
whereas an LHA, LHD, yeah.
So an LHA is much more like the Bengal, because it's not just a carrier; it's also battle. It's also to assault. It's also to
No.
carry all other stuff.
A
and then,
Bengal is a pure carrier. We don't have an LHA, LHD, LPD in game yet.
but it's not as pure as the escort carrier, which is the Pegasus, which is only a carrier. It barely has pea shooters on itself. The Bengal has this giant cannon on the underneath.
Yeah, and we don't have that in real life, and we really probably we wouldn't. But the other thing to think about with the Bengal is it only has the one big gun, and a cruiser or battle cruiser or battleship would have multiples of those big guns. So you still don't want to take your Bengal up against the battle cruiser or battleship in close combat, because you have a whole fighter wing, but if another ship with all those big guns gets within range, in close range, all those fighters and bombers aren't going to have time to make a difference.
So aircraft carrier Pegasus, LHA Kraken.
Yeah. LHA.
That make more sense?
We don't have an LHA, because the whole point of an LHA or an LPD, nope, it's talked about in the lore, but the whole point is to not bring the ship to the shore, the ship to the ground. You stay standoff distance.
Oh, okay. So
over the horizon, out in space,
on board that will project whatever resources you have away from it.
Yeah, you're conducting landings.
Okay.
Yep.
So we need like something that carries mass
Victura,
amounts of
the
Valkyries.
Liberator, is a light amphibious warship. 100%. That's what it is. Google that and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
So we need like the Mega Lib.
Yeah, kind of. Let's see. So, a lot of tangents. Sorry. So last month, AI Tech finalized work to allow NPCs to transition between EVA and environments with gravity. This required an update to the usables code, including exposing it to enter and exit location information. Now NPCs can enter and exit ships through airlocks or hatches by vaulting over ledges. Interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing this behavior. I want to see how they do it, like the NPC does it in the animation. The team also implemented simple behaviors and assignments for entering and exiting ships, which compute a path to a location and utilize the most usable to finish the transition. Yeah, I'm going to have to see how that works. I would love to have them demonstrate it.
I really hope that we see some of these AI devs, specifically the pathfinding devs at GDC. Like, I want to see, because we've seen a lot of the, at least a dev from Halo talk about how they built the first generation Halo NPCs and how they did their buddy AI, basically, how they had the elites working with the grunts, working with all the different types of whether jackals, and how they all played off each other, and each of their movements were kind of eyed by all the rest of them, so they actually worked as a unit. I want to talk specifically on Squadron 42's navigation system. Because every couple of months, we get a new kind of navigation. So there was, basic pathfinding. Then there was smooth pathfinding. Then we had usable pathfinding. So they could use a door or use something that didn't exactly have navigation in it. Kind of like in a lot of games where they have those small crevices that your character fits between. You can't navigate through that, but you can animate through it. It's a specific thing. And then they had the navigation zone links that weren't a specific animation, but that could calculate between the two areas. And now we're getting these more edge casey things, but exiting and entering ships. And what was the other one they said? Vaulting and and utilizing the most suitable usable to finish the transition. Is that scaling something? Is that seeing up a ledge? I want to get to that fuse box over there, but the elevator's out, so I have to vault onto this ledge to get up to the fuse box. I want to see this at GDC really bad.
Yeah, how does that logic work out? Yeah. let's see. The team also implemented simple behaviors and assignments for entering and exiting ships, which compute a path to a location and utilize the most usable to finish the transition. Usable being like airlocks and doors and such. On the navigation system side, AI tech upgraded navigation links to connect 2 volumes from different zones, which is needed for moving platforms. Which allows NPCs to use like the shuttles, or
See, when I heard
to move around a landing zone.
When I read moving platforms, I thought, oh, so they can get off ships. But they've said ships before specifically.
Mhm.
So I think moving platforms are specifically parts of the level design that move.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking like you moved a platform like with a crane or something.
Oh,
And
I was
now
thinking this is what they use for NPCs to get onto a tram at one location, get off the tram at another location, like in Shubin.
Well, didn't they cover all that with the commuter stuff? Because they like trams are vehicles in at least all but Orison. Like they're classified as ships for
I
navigation.
don't think they work that way. I don't know. This is the way I'm reading it, but
yeah.
The previous implementation only allowed links between parent and child zones, because that's the thing is if parent and child zones. So if you're going up in from one elevator to another thing, that's still a parent to child zone. If you're going from one area in a landing zone to another area in a landing zone, that's not parent to child. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I still think that's not. It's specifically not ships. I still think it's part of the level itself, not. Another entity.
Your Wonkavaders and your trams are not vehicles. They don't operate like vehicles. That's the logic that they've been talking about with this stuff, because that's how you go from a parent to a child zone. Is you take your Wonkavader, which just goes from a parent zone to a child zone. You're within the station to the hangar, or from one part of a building to another. But if you're going from one part of a landing zone to another part of a landing zone, that's two separate zones. And so I think that's the logic that they needed to address to connect the two.
I swear they said they already had them getting on trains.
Oh, I know they've been able to get on and off elevators, but I don't think they've said anything about trams. Anyway, so further optimizations and improvements were made for the navigation mesh raycast too. AI Tech also finished up the ongoing work on Boids. They're currently working on 2D Boids agents, such as rodents, that will move across terrain within the confines of the navigation mesh. Ew, rodents.
We just become best friends. Yup.
Hey, Access, thanks so much for the sub. Welcome. Glad to see you this evening.
Hello.
They're also adding constraints to avoid navigation mesh edges to ensure the Boids stay inside the navigable areas, unlike a rodent actually would. Now they'll look into Boids agents playing animations while moving or idling. Let's see. The subsumption editor received numerous improvements, including a variable type editor, the ability to copy-paste states while editing a master graph, improved views of how master graph transitions are presented, and an improved activity view for available sub-activities and functions, and a validation panel that presents errors and warning when loading and saving files. Various features and AI systems received improvements too. For the usable group coordinator, designers can now specify that a group of NPCs should synchronize when transitioning from one group of usables to another. For NPCs pushing trolleys, the team optimized the PID controller and adjusted the default parameters to stabilize quicker after turning on a path. For NPC perception of audio stimuli, AI Tech began using new functionality exposed by the audio team, which will utilize the room system to understand if an audio event should be received. Very good. And back to you for audio AI vehicles, still Squadron. Okay.
Yes. AI vehicles. All right. Vehicle AI focused on supporting level design throughout July. Vehicle AI has a significant impact on level design, especially for flight chapters. So, time was spent looking into issues, supporting designers, and adding new features. Further work was done to integrate the new vehicle aiming system into AI. Not into the AI, just into AI. NPC pilots will make use of the new system just like players, which has resulted in significant improved AI accuracy. Though this requires balancing, they now have much more control than before. I imagine that means designers have much more control than before, not just NPCs having more control over turrets. That's how I read that.
No, NPCs have more control. We're doomed.
Doki Doki Literature Club. Improvements and changes were made to atmospheric flight. Now, when in atmosphere, AI fly with control surfaces, and dogfighting reverts to more traditional get on your six style of combat. Woot! NPCs are using atmospheric flight or control surfaces. It's almost done. It's almost done. Like, it's going to change racing a lot. Like, a lot. And I am super excited because basically my arrow gets better when we start getting control surfaces. As part of this, the team wanted to give players more opportunities to get behind the AI. So now, enemies occasionally make mistakes and break away, leaving windows they didn't before. This resulted in a far more enjoyable experience. I really like that they're making NPCs not be just perfect. I love that they're making mistakes. That is one of the hardest things to code into a game, is bad AI. That was actually added GDC talk. Is making NPCs worse is one of the hardest things to do, because making perfect AI is really easy. Basically, you just give them cheats that people make for themselves so they can see through walls, perfect aim. That's easy stuff. Imagine, like, just try to visualize how to code something to aim at something. So let's say you're aiming at a player, okay? You copy location of player, aim at that, okay? Perfect. How do you make that miss? Like, there's some simple ones, just like when you shoot, just like veer off. There you go. But making it realistic, bad aiming is terribly hard. Like, computers do not like doing things messily, and bad AI is messy. Oxfield tanks, better cluster missile racks. You don't need cluster missiles for racing, so I got nothing there. Not
okay,
bad,
so
unpredictable.
Back to me
That's
for
fine.
animations starting on the PU side. Sweet.
I mean, we can
Okay.
just end at the first line.
What?
Is that in the PU one? Where are we at?
Yeah, it goes to PU pilots and combatants. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have other stuff open. I'm trying to do stuff.
Last month, the animation team focused on improving visual results for reloads and takedowns. They also worked on basic idols for weapons and knives, which are planned for release in Alpha 3.20. They're currently making improvements to player prone animations and adding an increasing number of player interactions to improve immersion in specific environments. On the facial side, they continue to support new incoming lines for PU pilots and combatants. New incoming lines. Interesting. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Yeah. For the Squadron 42 side, the team continued working on background and systemic AI, taking a larger role in driving visual fidelity. They also kicked off reload animations for enemy Spec Ops weapon types and began implementing 2 high-intensity combat fights.
Part of the crew.
Part of the ship.
Part
Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Part of the crew.
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Because that was in the PU part as well. Oh wait, no, it wasn't. Never mind.
Part of the ship.
Huh.
I did my job, I promise!
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew. Part of the ship.
Jeez, you're getting all
shit.
sorts of follows tonight.
I totally missed it. We just got rated.
Oh, heck!
Part of the crew. Part of the ship. Part of the crew.
With 68 people, thank you so much.
And I do not have a way to turn off the follow thing.
Oh, okay.
Let's see.
That's
hold
gonna
on.
be fun. Well, it's there now.
Part of the crew, part of the ship.
Hello, everyone.
Can I? Let's see.
Well, we got two options: talk through it or wait till it's done.
Hold on.
And we just
No,
kind of tangent.
I think I know a way. If I do that, it does it. I think.
Do you know the way?
So Soul Citizens is rating, just rated with a party of 68. Thank you so much, Soul Citizens. Really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate the raid. Just saw a couple first-time chats. Wise Guy 07, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Thrakazogs. Thanks so much for joining us. Thank you for the follows, guys. Really appreciate you coming and hanging out. We're going over the July monthly reports for Star Citizen and Squadron 42. Zombie Pig says, "What is that quote from? Sounds like a cross between Kirk and Family Guy." It's from one of the. It's from one.
I mean, that's not far off, though.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. 07 Stingray 67. It's actually from I forget which Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but it's from that. So yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Really interesting monthly reports this month. A lot of good information, so I hope you'll stick around and hang with us. Thanks again, Soul Citizens, for the raid. Be sure to come up and say hi at CitizenCon. I think a couple of you are going, at least, if as far as I remember, if I'm remembering correctly. So keep an eye out. I'm going to have a Tree0311 shirt made. If you come up and say hi, Griffin and Fastcart, awesome. Would love to see you guys. I've met Fastcart once in person. I haven't met Griffin, and I've always wanted to. But I've got patches that I've had made for my Valkyrie, which is the Vomit Comet. And so if you come up and say hi, I've got a patch for you guys. But we really love to see you and get a picture and meet other members of the content creator community. So thanks again so much. Hope you guys had a really great stream and a good weekend. I think it's safe that I can I'll turn it back on. There we go. I think that's how that works. Hopefully that works. We'll have to try it next time. Anyway, thanks so much for the raid, though. We really appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. Danger Hobo Pogues can absolutely say hi. I'm a Pogue now. I'm a former infantry marine. I was an 0311 first and an 0331 second. And now I'm a 68 Whiskey Fox 2, which is a critical care flight paramedic with the Army National Guard. So I do not grunt anymore. I mean, I make grunty noises, but I'm not an infantryman. And my old boots are made for walking. The ones that I have now are made for being in the back of the aircraft and flying. Fastcart, buddy, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, I was actually at Horno, Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 4th Marines. That's Horno 0811. Is that comms? I apologize. I'm really terrible with Pogue MOSs. So, but yeah, I was Alpha Company 1st Battalion, 4th Marines at Camp Horno from 03 to 07. Did 2 deployments to Iraq way back when. Flores. Oh, okay. So over with. Oh, okay. 0811 is Artie. Right on. Cool. Yes, I have partied with Artie. I have done call for fire. I have had 155 millimeter shells come screaming over my head when I was in Najaf and Fallujah and Ramadi. So yeah, I know about the what's the descriptor that you guys use for yourselves? What is it? The Masters of the Battlefield or something like that? Or I know the Army RD guys have a descriptor. I can't remember. Finish my sentence for me. Anyway, let's get back to the monthly reports. Again, thanks so much for the raid. Really great to see members of the Soul Citizens community coming in. King of Battle. Yes, there we go. Boy, do we need artillery in Star Citizen. And there's a quote that Chris Roberts wants artillery in Star Citizen. Yeah, King can't swim. Let's see.
So Master Chief?
Yeah.
Last start over with animation. Yeah.
Last month, the animation team moved from alpha to beta work.
That's it.
Did someone say beta? Yeah, that's all I need to say. Now, granted, this is just the animation side of Squadron 42, but it's really important in the context of the other things we've been talking about earlier in the report with the mentions of polishing, moving things to a shippable state, last month, where they talked about multiple major features being enabled across Squadron 42 and being in a polishing phase. So it's really encouraging to hear about this level of progress with Squadron. And I'm hoping it means good things, especially for those of us who are going to CitizenCon, really hoping for a big reveal, a big announcement. This involved improving the visual results of reloads and takedowns, as well as basic idles for weapons and knives. So they're working on that for the PU side as well. The team continued working on background and systemic AI, taking a larger role in driving visual fidelity. They also kicked off... another follow. Thanks so much, Danger Hobo.
Part of the crew, part of the ship.
Part of the ship.
Part of the
Part of
crew,
the crew,
part
part of the ship.
Part of the crew, part of the ship.
They also kicked off reload animations for enemy spec ops weapon types and began implementing 2 high-intensity fights. Yeah, that was in the PU side. They're currently making updates to player prone animations and adding an increasing number of player interactions to improve immersion in specific environments. Also, on the PU side, let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. On the facial side, the team continued developing final quality facial animations for various cinematic scenes alongside supporting new incoming lines for combat and social AI. Support is also ongoing for 2 mocap shoots, one for narrative requirements and another for ad hoc social and combat AI needs. North End Trooper. Oh no, another hobo. I'm sensing a theme on this channel now. Yeah, Danger Hobo. Shiny Hobo is been a guest on the show a couple times, and he helps us out a lot with understanding the roadmap and the progress tracker. He's the person behind the shinytracker.app. So that's the other hobo that is frequently in chat. And let's see what is next after animation. Character art on the PU side. Do we have a disco hobo? Yeah. Pardon me. All right, let's see. I'll do, I don't know back how fast I'll be back. I'll do character art. So character art for Star Citizen. In July, the character art team continued working on outfits for the Headhunters and Dusters gang. Alongside this, the character concept art team explored ideas for additional Headhunters outfits and prepared handoff sheets for IAE and Luminalia content. Oh, he's back. Sorry, I read character art. I didn't know how long you were going to be.
Oh, that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
It's a really short blurb, and now it's for ship art for me, so that's fine.
Go ahead.
So for ship art for Star Citizen, in the UK, the RSI Polaris began its white box pass with a thorough breakdown of the content required. The team then imported the concept mesh and completed a basic entity setup. A rough interior white box was completed, and several issues with the concept were resolved. Woo! So the RSI Polaris is my favorite ship right behind my Valkyrie. It's my favorite large ship. Large, it's a capital ship, but of all the large and capital ships, the Polaris is my favorite. And so I'm really eager to see any updates they give us as they go through the development for it. It's going to be a pretty long development cycle for the Polaris, but I'm just super eager to see it. It has so much utility. I really should do a video on it. An as yet unannounced ship continued, and they specifically say ship, not vehicle, continued its Laud 0 pass. So Laud 0 being, this is the level of detail that you will see when you are face to face with it.
Part of the crew.
Another follow.
Part of the ship.
What does that say?
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew,
Part of the crew, part of the ship. Part of the crew, part of the ship. Adam's Lantern, thank you so much for the follow. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us this evening. Let's see.
Polaris? What do you mean, why Polaris? Why not Polaris? Hold on. Is this having an earthquake? No. I converted my desk.
You moved to? Are you standing now?
I'm standing now.
Tell you what. I'm going downstairs.
I've been sitting for probably the last 6 hours or something. In addition to actually, because I just had to go to the restroom and wow, I drink a lot more when I'm streaming. I'm more healthy when I'm streaming. Wait a minute, I'm saying I can stand for the next 2 hours. That'll be good. So I'm now standing and drinking lots of water. So like I'm finishing like one of these probably. This plus a Coke and whiskey. So
Alex the Droog, I love the Polaris because of the amount of utility that it has with the hangar, and then having the cargo bay have a ramp with for vehicle access. It has a brig, it has an armory, it has a medical bay. There's a reason it's used by militias as sort of like a flagship. There's so much utility, but with a relatively small crew complement. And so I want to have my Polaris with my Legionnaire on board, and then just go around searching for pirates and doing boarding actions. Either boarding actions or landing teams with the Legionnaire.
The only problem with Polaris is the torpedoes.
Yep. Not a huge fan of torpedoes. I probably won't use many of them.
Yeah. Basically, we need a galaxy the size of Polaris.
But the good thing about the Polaris is it does have a lot of really good defense turrets, against fighters and medium ships, but it also has a missile turret. And so it's pretty defensible, and especially against extra small and medium ships, you should do really well with just the guns without using torpedoes. Not hating on torpedoes. I just don't think I'm going to use the Polaris's torpedoes all that often, just because they're so big and so expensive. They're really big anti-capital torps. Yeah.
Two, I don't like you just said you're searching and rescuing. Like that's not exactly, you're not picking fights with large vessels.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like even using it as, I mean, some ships might come along and to dethrone this for me, but like. It's my moving office, my flying office.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want this kind of like small squad, like maybe up to 5 people squad that like can call the Polaris like their home away from home when we're using it. So
I'm going to be operating my Polaris in the null system, and if the Vandal come into the null system, then I'll probably use the torpedoes to screen my escape and run away. But the what I'm looking forward to using the Polaris for is, even if I can't get a big group of people together, to crew the entire Polaris, if I could just get 4 or 5 people to do make a small boarding team or a landing team in the Legionnaire, we can just load into the Polaris and we can leave the Polaris hidden somewhere in deep space or something like that. And then go run around and do missions and bring stuff back and bring bounties back and put them on the brig of the Polaris. But you don't have to crew the whole thing all at one time. I can just use it as my mobile base to do lots of different things. So that's my plan for it. Yeah. Anyway, back to ships.
Yes.
So the unannounced ship continued its Lot Zero pass. So it's in final art, but the early part of the final art stage, with the majority of tasks completed and a review scheduled. Ooh. The team is currently focused on adding tertiary details to the interior and exterior, as well as finishing the lighting for each phase. The Crusader A1 Spirit progressed through final art, which is really encouraging, making really good progress, with a handful of levels of detail remaining for its interior and exterior damage. Work also continued on the C1 Spirit cargo variant, with the main differences being minor exterior changes and the cargo room, the latter of which is currently progressing through gray box with most of the core forms refined. I think that A1 is probably going to be, the A1 is going to be 320.x or 320.1 and release at CitizenCon or part of CitizenCon, and C1 will release at IE. That's my prediction. Work on a new ship variant continued, with the dashboard and cockpit receiving attention. Design. Pardon me. The design team also resolved the placement of physicalized components ready for the art team to add at a later date. Another unannounced variant continued through its gray box phase too. So I think this last paragraph is referring to the Montreal team working on the two variants of an existing ship. I think that's what this is referring to. And it seems like one might be in a little bit farther along than the other. So we'll have to see. If you want to know what this is probably referring to, check out the leaks. In the U.S., the Tumble Storm approached the end of production. The end of production. I wonder if they're going to release it for 320. I wonder if it'll get added to the release view. We have built all damage meshes, projected all UV2s. What's the UV2 again, Naz? We've talked about this before.
It's the thing that they use to make the armor dissolve.
Ah, okay.
So it's what you use when you attack a ship and you have like the burn marks in the armor or salvaging the armor. It's the UVs are the, just for laymen, use UV as a texture, the skinning texture.
Yep.
So
cool. Okay, so like when you take damage, it replaces one texture with another to make it look damaged.
Or just use the alpha channel to just have a pattern in it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Projected all UV2s, generated most levels of detail, and are now just polishing up various parts of the vehicle. Lighting is getting another pass, and we are working with systems design to make most of them procedural, so that they will respond to player interaction. I think they're talking about making the lights respond to player interaction. That's kind of confusing. Ship art also worked alongside tech art to solve visual issues with the treads. Elsewhere, tasks were started for an all-new vehicle. The team began breaking, and so they say vehicle, they don't say ship, so they're keeping that close to their chest. The team began breaking apart the concept and putting together an in-game preview while planning out the work required for the base and its variants. The current plan is to white box all the variants at the same time and then select which versions will move into gray box first. Wow.
Which,
okay, so
that is super standard because, as we know, the last step of concept is white box now since 2017. So,
yeah,
it's nice, but it's kind of also a throwaway statement that all of them are going to be gray box or white boxed because, the only takeaway is that only one of them is going to be moving forward. But
well,
also,
which versions will move into gray box first? So it sounds like they're going to work on.
You're right.
It sounds like, but the planning out the work required for the base and its variants. To me, this kind of reads like another Atlas chassis.
Okay. Yeah.
Where,
and
but instead
I think
of,
also, I think also the breaking up of the ship families is part of the re-refine the 2019. I think it was 1920. Maybe it's 2020 and onward refinement of the ship pipeline, where they don't say, okay, we're going to do all of them all at once just because they're all the same ships and there are minor differences. I think they're like the Spirit series. They're going to start breaking up. They did this with the Steve series. Now we have the PTV, which got its rework, and we could have gotten the PTV, STV, and UTV all at once because they're variants. But instead, they're taking each ship and putting it on its own timeline wherever it makes the most sense instead of taking a larger chunk of the pipeline throughput all at once.
Yeah.
So I think
I'm excited that they're coming up with another vehicle that is going to have multiple variants and, they're going to concept white box them all at the same time. But it's to me, it's exciting that they're going to work on, it's this part down here, that they're going to progress with more than one going forward. And, it might take a while for us to get the other ones, but what I think that this is probably suggesting another ground vehicle, but that's also exciting to me is that we're getting another ground vehicle with multiple variants, something that's more utilitarian.
Give me cargo truck.
Yeah, that was going to be my thought, is something in industry related. And this is the cargo variant. This is the one that does salvage. This is the one that does mining.
Salvage truck.
Yeah. I don't know. That would be my hope, is something vehicle related that does industry type stuff, profession type stuff, versus just another combat vehicle. Unless they're going to do an infantry fighting vehicle with tracks, a Bradley versus something with wheels that is just overly huge. Okay, so wait a minute. I don't know how I missed this.
Huh?
So up here, we talked about work on a new ship variant continued with the dashboard and cockpit receiving attention. The design team also resolved the placement of physicalized components ready for the art team to add at a later date. Another unannounced variant continued through its gray box phase 2. But then down here, 2 new variants went through the Lot 0 phase and are approaching content complete. There is so much variant work going on right now.
Yeah. So
let's see. We only, through the leaks, know about one. Well, it's 2 variants of an existing ship. And here we're talking about, we've got 2 variants up here, 2 variants down here, so that's 4. Multiple, potentially and these are existing ships, variants of an existing ship. This is an all new vehicle with multiple variants that they're working on. Like, there's a lot of diversification going on, so that this is going to be really interesting to see, and especially considering that 2 are through Lot 0 already and are approaching content complete.
Is there a hotkey? No, it's not hotkey.
And then this one sounds like it's going pretty well too. So, well, that's the thing. We haven't had many unannounced on the in progress recently. So it sounds like, oh yeah, the sneak peek of the Fury variant. Thank you, Night Gob. It's a racing one, right? It's the Fury LX?
Well, the luxury plus racing, for some reason, they're in the same category.
Okay. Yeah, that might be one of these. Cool. Let's see. The team also progressed through Lot 0 for the Apoa Centaur Yai, filling out item housings and doing heavy paneling work on the exterior. They also came to a solution for the dashboard, which still requires polish, but delivers a unique aesthetic for interaction. They're currently working with system design to get the ship's behaviors to trigger correctly. Finally, for ships, the Origin X1 finally entered the gray box stage. While waiting on the white box review, the team are working to solve various aesthetic issues while ensuring the overall ship makes mechanical sense. They're also exploring new tools to help generate extremely clean automotive-style geometry to maintain the required Origin feel. All right, so now, that's it for ship art. Oops, sorry.
I had assumed the X1 was going to be just popped in wherever junior artist needed a thing, but like they're moving tech forward with the X1. Like that's insane. I was not expecting that. Like not only are they like looking into the Origin aesthetic and where to improve it, but they're also using new tools. We all love tools here to generate automotive style geometry. I'm so happy. That's like, I would have been happy either way, whether it be a junior artist coming out of college or, just getting into the industry, or like this tool work is absolutely great. So to round out this entire category, we have the Polaris, a yet unannounced ship in Lot 0, the Crusader A1, the C1, a new ship and variants that may or may not go into gray box, the Storm, an all new vehicle that is that's the one with the variants, the Apoa and the X1. So there are 9 ships plus a couple of unknown variants in this month's report, and a lot of them are in the later stages of gray box. And I think about half of them are in later. Like there's a lot of throughput. Like,
it's going to be very busy for IAE, I think. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of throughput going on.
I only have one question, and one question only. I know the answer is post-resource management. I have one question only. Kraken when? And I know we're going to get more Drake ships before the Kraken because they're going to like ramp up the Kraken pipeline to make sure that everything's good to go. But like, I want the Kraken so bad. It's going to be such a good ship. All right. Audio, starting off on the Star Citizen side. July saw the audio team progressing with tasks for Pyro, including implementing imperative sounds. They also discussed how they can iterate existing work with Squadron 42. These sentences do not work with me. The improvements were made to the flight experience, including updated vibration tech and impacts, Sound effects were also designed and implemented for upcoming spaceship releases. Spaceship. Then over on the Squadron side,
Ooh,
for
I need to
audio,
add that to the sound
Spaceship?
bites. Yep.
I need that one too, though.
Well, so I have
have the same one.
I have a Stream Deck Plus, and so I need to have I need to make 2 separate profiles for OBS. I need to, or at least one for controlling moving, from one scene to the other. But then I also want to have another one that will trigger things within scenes to play GIFs or video clips, sound bites on screen for me. So that way I can play things on command in relation to what's going on in game. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could do what Taryn did. I don't know if you know who Taryn, I forget his last name, but used to work at Lions Media Group. He had literally an entire keyboard of hotkeys. Like he had on his desk at any given moment 4 keyboards, and 3 of them were like all hotkey keyboards.
Let's see.
Like he's just like the master of hotkeys, and he had like Hello Kitty Kraken Skin when. I mean, that actually tracks. So like, if you actually look into the lore of Cousin Crows, Barrel will qualify. That's amazing.
Look who they had sign it in the bottom. It says Lieutenant General Peppy Hare, AV Star Fox Training Command. So this is not me. This is actually and don't look at this name. Don't bother about that. But so at annual training this year, I was not there because I was at away to school. But so they had a whole bunch of extra simulator time for the Black Hawk simulators, and so they let the enlisted air crew, the flight medics and crew chiefs, hop in the simulators for fun. And so they were just shenanigans ensued. And so everybody who was able to, in a Black Hawk simulator, perform a barrel roll after some instruction, they gave out these awards today during our morning brief. And so it was pretty hysterical. And so as soon as they read the announcement, as they're giving them out, I've just I found a video on YouTube that just says do a barrel roll for like 10 minutes. Do a barrel roll. So I need to add that to my OBS for gameplay parts. So whenever I take fire or something like that, I'm just going to play do a barrel roll and panic and do the Space Dad Star Wars barrel roll. But yeah, so
we're not getting it. I missed it earlier. No, we're not getting a UTV-R and a UTV-C. That's not what they're there for.
Successfully completed a barrel roll while flying in a UH-60L simulator, thereby demonstrating superior skill and aptitude for demanding flight maneuvers. Furthermore, this amazing feat demonstrates a complete and utter disregard for AR-95-1, which is our flight manual, the UH-60L operator's manual, and the combat maneuvering handbook. Your performance is in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflects great credit upon yourself, your unit, the Idaho National Guard, and the state of Idaho. So
that's great.
All right. So your audio for Squadron, right?
Yes, audio for Squadron.
Okay.
Audio continued.
I'll be right back.
All right. Audio continued their ongoing task of triggering generic animations with new Foley sound effects. Tagging generic animations with new Foley effects. This will add This will add to immersion game-wide, including non-gameplay scenes such as cinematics, where generic animations are reused. So basically, you don't have to like when somebody grabs a cup off a desk with a generic animation, or walks through a doorway, or is idling in an elevator. Background characters. You don't want to like have to do more Foley work so that they fit into a cutscene. So you just use the audio with the animation. Nice reuse of assets, all super good. And we didn't have a concept of what the Foley effects and the animation sounds were before, but I'm glad they're improved, I guess. The team also designed and implemented new weapon sound effects. Awesome. Significant step to improving the sound across all FPS features. Cool. Several gadgets received their initial audio pass in pursuit of having sounds on all interactable devices across the campaign too. Audio also assessed the new workload for planned flight experience improvements, identifying areas of tech that are needed to develop or need developing or improving. Alongside this, the sound team will soon begin writing up new vibration system to amplify the tension and immersion of dogfights with the large space battles to greatly improve the overall flight experience. Time was spent reviewing all existing ambient work in preparation for the next stage of development. Currently, all base ambience and it is implemented, which will be refined with smaller, nuanced details. They also completed the sound design for large turrets that players can use during an early portion of the game. The cannon effects were redesigned to sound more powerful and beefier, while the Gatling turrets received a new barrel spin effect. Finally, for audio, the dialogue team spent time on set shooting and selecting of scenes and mastering in-game dialogue. Busy month for audio. Jeez. So I don't know where you want to read community from, because in the document I did smoosh them all together so you don't have to go looking for them in attempts to make it easier to read through.
Okay.
Because it's like split up all between the pictures.
Yeah, I'll just start from the top. And I like looking at the pictures, pretty pictures.
I mean, yeah, they're there too.
The community team kicked off July by launching Foundation Festival 2953, a month-long celebration of the community with a free fly, referral bonus, video tutorial contest hosted on the community hub, and an organization spotlight gallery. Furthermore, with a focus on helping new recruits, the team posted updates on the new player guide, implemented a new player chat on Spectrum, pardon me, curated media on the Welcome Hub, and encouraged veteran players to support new recruits by offering rewards for using the guide system. Later in the month, community supported the announcement of Turbulent joining CIG, Woot. The team also prepared for the upcoming return of CitizenCon, the in-person celebration of all things Star Citizen. They announced a collaboration with Atmo Esports for the event too. CitizenCon is shaping up to be the most epic one yet, with the cosplay contest, community booths, and now the biggest dogfighting tournament in the verse, Fight or Flight, coming straight from the show floor as well. We have many more cool surprises in store for you, and we can't wait to see you there, community team. I'm going to be there. I'm doing my part. Pardon me. Sorry, I cleared my throat into the mic. Additionally, the team supported various community-driven in-game events, including the Grey Cat Social and a military-style parade, organized by the French community. They also met passionate players out of the verse, returning to the beautiful city of Paris for a Bar Citizen and attending a virtual Bar Citizen. Hey, look, there's Griffin from Soul Citizens.
Hey.
Is anyone in chat part of this? I see Fast Cart as well. Knight Rider CIG. Let's see. Oh, there's Joe Rune. He's like basically the founder of Bar Citizen, right? He's the one that got all that started.
That's not the Toast, right? Because that'd be Toast CIG, right?
Oh, hey, there's Darge.
Oh,
Darge is frequently on the captain's table over on the Astropub.
Authentic Young's also a streamer.
Where do you see Authentic Young?
4 from the left, 3 down.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Does she go by Authie? Is that the same person?
I don't think so. Not that I've only... Very out of touch here, but...
I think she's the one that has done those like women in gaming, women in Star Citizen events with... gosh, who else did she do them with?
Nightclub says it is. So.
It is? Okay, cool. Same person. That's what I thought. Because I think I'd heard them, or maybe they go by Authie on Twitter. Because I'm pretty sure I follow this person on Twitter. Yeah, I heard that was a lot of fun. Yeah. Let's see. Lastly, the community assisted in the introduction of the brand new Mission Spotlight series and launched a screenshot contest to reward the best images from players that take on the Arlington Bounty missions, which that's the one that ends in the Idris that can be very difficult to get to spawn and actually work correctly. But that's the longest bounty chain, right? As far as I'm aware.
I don't do a lot of bounty missions. Certainly have gotten nowhere near the end of the Arlington. Basically, one of the Arlington missions, the branch that was supposed to be the Miles Eckhart missions. Isn't it like where they ended up? Was the work for it?
It's been so long since I've...
Like, I was burned by the moon base, so like I never really like I had no drive to go do the Arlington missions because like there's no Eckhart, there's no moon base, there's no double cross. It's just bounty hunting. Like, I do cargo hauling until there's dynamic missions. I do cargo hauling.
I do relic
And racing.
retrievals and investigation missions, and occasionally, sometimes bunkers too. But mostly, it's I want to go find things that are broken, and anything where I can do legitimate salvage these days.
Bunkers for me are just restocking missions.
Yeah, well, that's why I like the relic hunts too, is because I can get so much. I want to have a mission that will also be rife with loot, because I'm a loot goblin. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Back to you for engine, and I'm gonna run downstairs
it's time
and
for
see if I can get
already?
some ice cream. I'll be listening.
Okay.
We'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, leave it on. Star Citizen. Yep. Okay, perfect. The core engine progressed with development of Star Builds, the new in-house code build system that will replace WAF. Last month, they fixed issues and implemented improvements based on feedback from the wider dev use. So they've been working on this for a good while now. I don't know what WAF actually stands for in this context. Team dev. Let's see if it comes up with anything. Not waffle. Nope, I got nothing. WAF is AWS, apparently. It's a service from Amazon. It seems like what it actually stands for, I do not know, because it doesn't actually talk about anything. Not helpful. Yeah, there are full articles in there. Does not just pick out what it says. All right. And then let's see. For Mem Replay 2.0, the team introduced virtual memory areas as a concept to the memory allocation system, which will better track OS committed memory and provide an improved visualization of sub-allocations. Thank God, because like it chews memory. I'm hoping they get a little handle on how when you launch Star Citizen, it'll be like, yeah, I'll take like 10 gigs or something. It's fine. But like sometimes it'll be like, oh, I want 30 gigs now. And it's like, I run Chrome. I can't give you 30 gigs. It was, yeah. It can get really...
Well, there's a lot of leaks, memory leaks, right?
Yeah.
That have been persistent for a while.
Greatly.
And they're really random too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go for weeks or months without getting one, and then I will have a whole week where every time I play, I get a memory leak. And I have a lot of memory, but that doesn't mean I want to give it to you.
Yeah. I've had like one in Orison, one arriving at not Babbitt, but arriving at Microtech. Like they're super random where they show up. All right, and then progress was then made on removing the remaining map and write discard calls in the renderer in preparation for the new Vulkan backend. Woot! When is that coming in? Come on. They also reworked the game launcher code structure to reduce code duplications and enable Linux-based headless clients. Again, more Linux stuff is good, which will help with automatic testing. Also very good. Core Engine also worked alongside the physics and vehicle teams to support the Mystical Sea, ensuring it works correctly and fixing bugs with the ship's unique systems. Unique only for now. Additionally, they fixed further fallout from the last integration and made various other bug fixes and optimizations. So last integration meaning last time they pulled stuff from what the engine team was working on and integrated it into the dev branch. The physics team continued helping the game teams fix various physics-related bugs in the game code. They also updated the cloth system and Maelstrom and began improving active and animated ragdolls. Neat. The entity system team primarily supported various technical initiatives, including Rastar and the new resource network, or the resource network. This involved exploring the ways to create and limit generated locations to provide a rich experience without negatively impacting performance. They also supported the server meshing team by adding necessary improvements and fixes. I like that that's like the footnote of server meshing in the engine team. Like, yeah, we're done with it. It's not our job no more. That's the server team job. The engine supports it. Finally, they provided bug fixes for recently enabled async editor loading, and are currently adding more safety checks for correct entity access. Lots of like deep editing to make the game basically run better. Lots of fixes this month. We also got support for Rastar, Resource Network, Halsey, some physics bugs, memory allocation, visual memory, or memory replay 2.0 star builds, rebuild of some of the work for the game launcher. Nice stuff working out. So, and not a lot of like stuff that needed like explaining. So that was also nice. Cool. All right, then we got you with feature characters and weapons.
Well, this coming on the back of last month when they talked about how they had a whole bunch of reworks that they're integrating into the main dev branch. That I forget what the verbiage was, but lots of things that will improve. We're finally moving off of the 3.18 dev branch with 3.20, and they've been working on all these fixes and reworks and refactors within not only the backend but also within the engine. And so I'm really hopeful for 3.28. 3.19.1 has been very good to me, but there are still issues. It's just definitely a lot better than 3.19.0 and of course the 3.18 series. And so I'm really hopeful that 3.20 is going to be a really good patch. I would also not be surprised. Well, you never know. It could be. I haven't said anything.
If they wipe, that means they fix the duping bug. So I'm definitely hoping for the wipe.
Yeah. But I also, I think there's a good possibility that the 3.20 branch could get a Q4 patch that is just it's 3.20 it's 3.21, but it's still on the 3.20 branch, and just bring in content that they are working on within the 3.20 branch but isn't ready, so that way they don't have to diverge. Because with all the work that they've been doing for, like, say, vehicle tractor beams, if they've been working within the 3.20 branch to develop that feature, then they wouldn't have to make a new branch in order to implement it.
They fixed the bug. Why do they need to wipe? So basically, they want to wipe because they fixed the duping bug, so they can reset everyone and have everyone be playing the economy without being able to generate millions of credits just like that. So
the question is, were they able to target the people who did it and do selective wipes? Because they've done that before.
Not how they said it, and which makes sense because don't even. Because those people then handed out all the cash. It's not, you can't really target them because their exploitation overflowed from them into other people's wallets. So from what they said in the single post that they made, it's going to be a game wipe. From how it read, they're just going to reset the game. But also, we have the giant bug fix of invisible players. Hopefully the fix they did for that will take, and we'll have no longer invisible players. We got all the Arena Commander stuff, Star Marine improvements. Like, it's a big patch. 20 is a big patch.
Okay, so character and weapon features. July saw the feature team experimenting with skill progression. I still don't know how I feel about this, but which involves players performing specific in-game actions to make them better at similar activities. If this is the first time hearing about this, remember they talked about it during the 2+ hour long diatribe with CR and what's that guy's name? Richard Tyrer. His little mini-me at CitizenCon. He really is. They are the same person. They talk the same way. I hadn't
thought about it like that.
You cannot get Richard Tyrer to be succinct about anything, just like you can't for CR.
Now I want to go back and watch it again. That's great.
Yeah. Well, they've done this multiple times. For example, building up strength will allow players to carry heavier objects with fewer penalties, while performing takedowns will open access to quicker and quieter action sets. Yeah, I think it's unnecessary. I think it's I don't know. I think there are better ways to make people be more invested in their characters, but we'll see how this develops. I like to give the benefit of the doubt. For player traversal, the team began implementing a sliding mechanic. If a player tries to crouch while sprinting, they will perform a short slide before entering the crouch stance. The speed of the slide is determined by the starting speed of the player, and the distance may depend on factors such as the roughness or angle of the terrain. The player will automatically stop when reaching an obstacle, as the prime use case for this feature is to allow players to slide into cover. This is a common
I just
thing.
want to slide down muddy hills.
Yeah.
The Jedi Survivor, Jedi Fallen Order, like had a lot of sliding down like slopes and slides and things. I just want to slide down a muddy hill and start this, and I don't know why. But I think the skill system could totally go the way of hover mode. So
yeah, I think we could do without it. I don't think we're with everything else in terms of your reputation being so important. I just don't see it being necessary for getting people to value their characters. Oh yeah, Naz, if you can find that post about what you were talking about, Nightcob asked in chat, and I'd love to read it as well because I must have missed that.
Which one? The wipe or the invisible
Wipe.
player one? Wipe.
Or both. Yeah.
Okay. We'll get those together.
But
it's my turn
back
to read,
to you
though,
for
Gameplay features.
Yep, on PU. Okay, we're on the silver
Yep,
page.
we're gonna start off on PU, then end on Squadron. All right, gameplay features continued their work. Yeah, if I could talk without slam. Gameplay features continued their work on the new vehicle tractor beam. Waiting for applause. Which will also bring improvements to the existing tractor beams. July's tasks included first initiative test for core balancing and the UI. Nice. Additionally, the team progressed with the resource network, which includes features like engineering gameplay and life support, which should be sometime around November, according to the current roadmap. At least most of the features attached to resource network and engineering, and currently in around November. They also worked on several prototypes for salvage munching gameplay, and they are currently discussing the best fitting technical solution with all dependent teams. Finally, they made improvements to mining for Alpha 320 based on the community's feedback, including updates to stability and predictability when mining. And a quote from the feature team says, "A big thank you to the very valuable feedback that was provided. Big shout out to our helpful community of the gameplay feature team." Well done. Nicely done, miners of the verse. Then we got on the Squadron side. July saw work begin on the in-game sim pod. Glad to see that coming back. Can't wait to have it to where we can actually access Star Marine and Marine Commander from inside Star Citizen, from inside our HABs, player housing, building interiors, 4.0. I'm not saying all those in 4.0, I'm just saying that's the branch of the tree that we have to go down to get to it. Where players can load into different simulations to practice their skills. This is a fairly involved process where we need to teleport the player into a new environment, change their loadout and status, change the game mode and game rules, and restore everything back again when the simulation has finished. It's a lot like the Matrix.
Wizrad, are you listening?
Why?
I swear by my pretty floor bonnet, I will end you.
Oh no.
Wizrad, our moderator, is talking shit in chat, so.
Oh no. If you die in the simulation, you don't die in the real world. It's not like the Matrix. There we go. Let's read this part. That's not like the Matrix where if you die in the simulation, you die in the real world. So if you die in the simulation, it's game over in the simulation. You can just start a new round. Like basically inside the sim pod. I don't know how it's going to be in Squadron. There might be a military specific sim pod. But in Star Citizen, the sim pod is literally how we will be able to access the arcade modes from inside the game. Originally, the idea was there'd only be play Star Citizen button. Basically, just launch into Star Citizen. We wake up wherever we logged off at. I don't know if they're still planning to not have a main menu, basically. But that was one of the things thrown around earlier on in development. Elsewhere, a pass was done on flying formation based on feedback from ongoing mission reviews. This led to various changes, including how players join the formation, the way it flies to match the orientation of the leader, and numerous UI improvements. Neat. Progress was also made on the minimap, very excited, including culling marks outside the camera view and clipping important markers to the view edge. New markers for dangerous objects such as grenades and missiles were added both in the minimap and the star map too.
I'm sorry, I was not on the squadron side. I apologize.
That's fine. You're deep inside ice cream, so
yeah. Really excited to hear about what they're doing with the minimap and the star map, because the minimap and the star map use the same tech. It's like a one system, and so it's I
forget there was another.
They are progressing together as a feature, and we desperately need both. Oh gosh, we do. Yeah. To bring it back to the tractor beams, was talking about tractor beams and such with Jake in my Discord, and this is not anything leaky or anything like that. He was totally able to tell us this, but
for all intents and purposes, your Discord is a public forum.
Yep. And he did say that the vehicle tractor beams will bring improvements and changes to the way that your handheld works. So it's a full expansion of the system, not just adding tractor beams to vehicles. So there's going to be a lot more to it going forward. I'm really hopeful that the two-handed tractor beam will come in with vehicle tractor beams and it'll all drop at once. But we'll just have to wait and see. If I remember correctly, the two-handed had UI work done very recently. So I'm hoping that's part of it, because they did talk about July's task included the first iterative test for core balancing and the UI. And so I think I'm hoping that the UI is changing and getting updated as an entire feature for tractor beams, not just vehicle tractor beams. And that's why we saw that UI work under the two-handed industrial tool. Back to me for, which one did he say? Mission? Yeah, mission features.
Yep, mission features or featured missions.
All right, mission features on the Star Citizen side. And oh my gosh, if you haven't watched the last episode of the podcast where we went over all of July's roadmap updates, to include we got the downstream updates and a lot of the upstream updates, right, Nas? Pretty sure that's correct. Yeah.
Yes. I think we have like somewhere between a third and a half of the upstreams now.
Yep. If you didn't catch the Roadmap Roundups from July 12th and July 26th, please go check them out again. There's a bunch of new missions that have been added to the progress tracker, and we talked about this when we were going over them. It's kind of difficult because some of the new missions that they're working on have either come into the game already or are coming in 320, but other ones that are on the progress tracker for the same period of time as those missions that have been released or are going to be released haven't come in. So like we got the salvage contracts and the resource rush missions for mining did not come in, and they had the same amount of work on them on the progress tracker. That work ended at the same time. They're basically the same thing, but one is for mining, one is for salvage. And so it's kind of, you can't really reliably predict when these are going to be coming in game, but the good thing is a lot of the work for most of these missions only goes out to either October or November. And so there's a good chance that a number of these new mission types will be coming in, not in not only 320 but 320.x patches, as well as potentially a 321 if we get one in Q4. So I'm really excited to see some of these, especially like the repair mission. The repair missions that they're talking about is really exciting. I'm really interested to see those with the new salvage yard locations, which we have heard nothing about other than that little blip in the roadmap. So last month, Mission Features embedded QA testers supported the developer of Ship Trespass by giving the feature rigorous destructive testing. The retrieve consignment missions passed final review and are currently being polished and balanced. Alongside this, the current underground facilities were replaced with Rastar to fix a variety of issues and make iterating on them easier. Nightcob, I know you had mentioned that you were having a bunch of issues with UGFs when you were playing, I think it was today or yesterday. And so that's my one hope is that, okay, sweet. They don't seem to look any different, at least from what they showed us. I know that they rebuilt it using Rastar, which is interesting, but
they built new ones.
It didn't look like they added any new assets. So, I think that we'll probably get more on this as we get closer to 320's release and more specifics on it. Like, especially if they do like a patch watch. I'm hoping we'll get patch watches for some of these things that don't have a release view card. But you know, it's at least if it fixes some issues, that would be really nice. Not the structure is what is holding it back, but maybe. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is maybe that there could be tags or something in the way that it's built that are causing things to not work right. I'm hoping they'll expand on this because this came out of the blue for me. Like Nazeris and I are big fans of tools. We've told you guys many times before. We say that all the time, especially the POI tools for procedure, the procedural locations tool, Rastar. And so this came out of the blue for both of us. We're like, wait, what? Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. And so I'm hoping they'll expand on this and sort of tell us, what the benefit of it is, what and where are they going with it in the future? Because the new UGFs are the procedural locations tool. So, I mean, if anything, I would have thought they'd use that one. Anyway, sorry, moving on.
The one note I have on that is I didn't look up the video yet, but I need to go back and do that. I need to open that in like 3 seconds here. Is I swear they said at the first time we saw the new UGFs on an ISC, they said these are replacing our current UGFs, not in location, but in workload. Like those were only built for CitizenCon and we missed the mark. That was not what we wanted to do. Here's what we wanted to do. And I thought that those were being left behind because they were inferior.
I thought they were going
inferior
to
project.
So
I got
new
really weird
small UGFs because the ones they showed us were mediums. And I figured they would replace the ones that we have with new smalls built using the procedural locations tool. And so this is a hard left bank away from what Nazeris and I, what we had found when we did our research. And it's like, okay, tell me more, CIG. Progress was also made on the new global event Blockade Runner. A working prototype was shown to the game directors who approved its move to development. So this is the replacement for Ninetales Lockdown. And it's going to be, I guess, more cargo focused is what they said. Do you remember what? Because they did talk about it. I think it was during SCL.
I don't know if they said more cargo focus, but they said they're basically taking all the feedback from the Ninetales Lockdown and making it a blockade running. Basically, whatever they liked about it, they're keeping and making stronger, and whatever they didn't like about it, ripping out and throwing away. So it is a polish pass, an update, refactor. They are just making it a better event, which I haven't been able to participate in one yet. I am really need to. So I'm looking forward to this new version. Was it really before? I haven't been able to find the wipe one yet. I guess that was actually pretty long ago. So I learned something about my brain in the past month or so. I have time blindness, apparently. I am not able to remember stuff without like event markers. Like I have to like use like items that happened in between me and whatever event to gauge how long ago it was. Like stuff that happened this morning, I have to like remember like, oh, it was light out, it's dark out now, so it's not now. And I did this, and this in between, so it was around this time, but I could have said like stuff I did this morning was a couple hours ago. So me finding stuff temporally is just terrible.
So the initial planning for cargo missions, another thing that we all should be excited for, was completed with all dependencies identified. The team are now looking deeper into the reputation system to improve the wider delivery and hauling mission gameplay loop. And this next one is really, yes, Gib. Steal and recover cargo missions were also prototyped and shown to the directors and are making good progress. These will see players either recover cargo from disabled ships or disable and board ships before securing their cargo. Missions for boarding actions. Thank you. Not just the 890 jump mission and the one with the caterpillar, but going on and boarding a ship to either steal its cargo or recover cargo that's been stolen, and having to either find a ship that's already disabled or disable it yourself and then board it. This is my jam. This is what I've been waiting for. And yeah, it's not going to have the Legionnaires boarding, but it's a start. You know, that's an additional feature to boarding missions and boarding actions. It's not, it doesn't revolve around it, but this is something I'm super excited for, especially as we get more tools for breaching. Finally, code work began for Reputation. Code work. So last month they were talking about they just the design documents. They're already moving into the code work for Reputation. So that's the progress they're making is apparently moving along pretty quickly. Progression within Reputation scopes will give players discounts on various purchases, including items, refueling, and repair. They already added this to the progress tracker. Mission features also picked up the reputation-based hostility system, which will see NPC orgs more willing to attack those who have a negative reputation with them, while providing benefits to those with a positive standing, also on the progress tracker. So very exciting stuff coming out of the mission feature team. If 320 is the Arena Commander patch, I think the 321 will be the mission feature team patch. And I think between the two, it's going to be a lot of really good stuff to hold us over while we're waiting for 4.0, and who knows what else could be coming. But I think that's that's my prediction for what Q4 is going to look like for us. Back to you for vehicle features on the Squadron 42 side.
All right. There it is. Vehicle features? There it is. Okay, yeah. All Squadron vehicle features this month. Last month, the vehicle feature team worked alongside the level design teams to close out various chapters, and improve how the game plays and feels. One of these key areas is the vehicle aiming and gunnery system. As part of this, the team explored options to make aiming more challenging, which is primarily driven by the slightly overpowered auto gimbal system. The aiming modes, dynamic zooming on targets, and other elements will make the combat experience more engaging. Control surfaces was finalized last month. Woot! With the team making UI changes to show additional information, including stall speed, selection mode, and thruster and control surfaces. Further control options will be considered following playtesting, I wonder if that's internal or external playtesting. Vehicle features also began supporting the physics team with physical damage tech. Is that the physical damage tech? I wonder.
I don't
know. Which will require a lot of low-level vehicle system refactors. Okay. This will update vehicles to use much more modern systems in the engine and work far better with physical damage and other recent features. Nice. So basically, they have to touch every ship again. But this will hopefully change a lot more with it, hopefully.
But they also said low level versus high. So
yeah, a lot of low level stuff, but it says this will update to much more modern systems, and this will update vehicles to use much more modern systems. So that's a lot of those low level systems basically hopefully will be much more polished. Doors. I'm hoping doors. Caterpillar doors. That's a low level system, right? No? Okay. July work on multifunction displays. MFDs focused on scanning. This is by far the most complex MFD screen, showing information from the scanning target and allowing players to find out about its internal components by utilizing a deeper scan. This is now working as intended. Nice. Turret seats are currently being converted to use the new MFD system. Turrets also have a modified version of the vehicle status MFD, which shows more turret-relevant information. Another smaller UI element worked on was Ream. Where's Ream? Rearm? Rearm. Gosh dang it. There's supposed to be a dash there. Rearm. And refuel. I guess technically, I don't know. I don't know how that's actually supposed to be done. That's just not supposed to be all one word. Anyway, rearm and refuel terminals located on some landing pads. This required a new UI tech element, which were resolved. Lastly, the vehicle loadout terminal is now largely functional, allowing players to see all the items available in their profile and equip them into the ships in the Idris hangar. Vehicle feature currently working on the UI with the UI team to finalize how this terminal will look. Yay. Hopefully pretty soon after the Idris terminal get the what was it called? I just said it. Vehicle loadout terminal. Hopefully once that's done, we'll get Star Citizen loadout terminals. Specifically, that giant holographic donut that we saw at CitizenCon.
I'm just excited about control surfaces was finalized last month. So
amazing.
Master Modes is now being introduced to the PU because it's been enabled across Squadron 42. It is essentially, Master Modes is in beta in Squadron 42. That's one part of the flight model. Another major part of the flight model update is the control surfaces. And I know they're making improvements and changes to the aerodynamics system. And so with those two things, that's the next major component of the flight model change. And here we are, it's finalized for Squadron as of last month. So that's really exciting. Especially because the next thing, when they talked about what their goals were for the flight model, it was in 2020. It was about bringing combat closer, which ended up being Master Modes, and then control surfaces, and then further differentiating ships based off of their thrusters, i.e., VTOLs or not, and expanding upon the thruster efficiency curves. Because basically the tech for thruster efficiency curves is in, but they're otherwise not really in. They don't really do anything. It's just they built the system, but they didn't want to implement, the sort of, I hate to use the word punishing, but the implement them so that way they made it so you can't do certain things with certain ships or can't do them for very long. They didn't want to do that until they had control surfaces in, because that's the sort of counter to that. So that's really exciting to me. But yeah. And back to me for gameplay story. Yeah. Okay. Gameplay story, Squadron 42. At the start of July, Gameplay Story completed the setup for the Air Traffic Controller operator seat. They followed this by updating all their scenes that involve operator seats to work with the approved metrics. This is quite a big undertaking, but it was great to see so many scenes that have been blocked for a long time finally get to a finished state. So many scenes that have been blocked for a long time finally get to a finished state. Even though this is gameplay story, that's great to hear. And it's just talking about scenes, but that this is a big deal. Alongside this, they did an implementation pass for a scene in Chapter 12 and used new mocap to update the start of a scene in Chapter 14. Recently, gameplay features joined a larger strike team to review and improve animations on the Idris. Last month, this involved creating new track views for deck crew entering the Gladius's cockpit, checking the Gatling gun, and testing the main thrusters. Back to you for graphics, VFX, programming, and planet tech. And this is all... everything but the last paragraph is both. So we'll switch over to the PU side, and then we'll switch back.
Yeah. We're in graphics, right?
Yep.
Still trying to find that other thing.
This one's exciting to me as well.
All right. Several new features were added to the global illumination system. Done. All right. See you guys later. No, I can't wait. Global illumination makes me so excited. I've been following the tech for basically since NVIDIA said, hey, ray tracing exists. I've been following not just NVIDIA's, but with Nanite and Unreal Engine. I actually learned how the tech is going. Global illumination is path tracing, where ray tracing is simply basically just reflection to the single ray. Global illumination employs path tracing, which is the ray tracing on steroids. So I'm just super happy about this, including the initial implementation and temporal smoothing for screens and screen space probes, which will produce more stable results at a lower cost. G-buffer support was added to environment probes to provide cheap scene representation for secondary light bounces. So cool. In addition, new debugging modes were added alongside new mechanisms to gather light for the GI system. I can't wait to see this. This is going to be at CitizenCon. There's no way they're not going to show this. It's going to look freaking fantastic. I can't.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that.
So cool.
They're definitely going to do a side by side, and yeah,
we're going to get all new. I love looking up rasterization to global illumination, or not even rasterization, but normal lighting to global illumination lighting. It's just so dang cool, because it fixes the scene basically. Some games to fake global illumination, because it's how you get the corners of your room to actually not be pitch black because the light's not actually shining that direction. They'll just have a 360 light. Everywhere has a 10% light, which will give you a generic light just kind of everywhere. Problem with that is you have a generic light everywhere, so it cuts down the contrast. So when you have a sun chef coming into a hangar, this is one of my favorite examples right now. You're gonna have that really high contrast between the light where it's hitting and the corner of the room where there's no light being pointed at. Yes, there will be bounces of light getting in there, but underneath something, where there's no light bouncing to there, is going to be that pitch black. And if you just have even under the shelves, artificially lit up, you don't get that high contrast of seeing the light, plus the edges of the room, plus the under the cubby holes. It's going to look so good, and it's going to look so much more realistic. It's something happens within the human brain when you see a path traced scene, and it starts to look way more real than it should. I am so excited for it. A basic implementation of temporal super resolution was completed, which will continue to receive fixes and improvements as it's integrated into the graphics engine. This is one of the features of DLSS 3, temporal super resolution. I'm not saying that they're using
that's
NVIDIA
where
tech.
I heard that. Okay. Yep. I was like, I've heard this before.
This is how they're getting. Basically, you can play at 420 and have a 4K image. Is temporal super resolution. So basically means we're going to be able to run Star Citizen at a lower resolution natively, and it will be able to software upscale it temporally so it keeps nice sharp edges with motion. I'm hoping this may fix the ghosting issue. I'm hoping, but I don't know, because the ghosting issue, and it's not talked about. I don't know why it's not talked about, but like there's a, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you like have a dark background and something light passes over the screen, it'll like ghost a whole bunch of times. And you'll see this like cut up image. I know what everyone knows or sees it because I've seen it in official Star Citizen videos. So they know it's there as much as I know it's there, and it's the one thing. Wow, that in pixelated clouds, it's just so close to being just like flawless visuals.
This is the benefit of having your own graphics, your own VFX programming, your own engine teams, because everybody's like, oh, they should, a lot of, and I hate to say it, but a lot of people who are very short-sighted, like, oh, they should switch to UE5 because UE5 does this, UE5 does that. Well, that means you'd have to convert your whole game over to Unreal, and that would take forever.
And then Stylus wouldn't be done.
Yeah, but B, all these things that UE5 does, there's nothing that stops them from integrating those technologies into their engine. When you have your own team, you are not. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
When you have your own team and your own engine, your only limitations are the ones you set upon yourself. The rest of it is just research and development and coding, and time and effort. There are very few hard limitations unless your engine from the get-go makes it so that way you don't have those. And that, because like, well, they started out with with CryEngine. There's like nothing of CryEngine left. And so they're basically, if they want to implement a piece of technology, it's just a matter of research and development and figure out how to add it to their code base. And so there's, when you have your own people and your own teams that do this, you're not beholden to a contract from, whoever the owner of the engine is, whether it's, there's Unreal Engine 5. What's the other really big one?
Unity.
Unity. When you license an engine, they have you write up a contract and you have specific things that you can and can't do with it. You have specific limitations, and if you want to do other things, you have to request help from the people that you're licensing the engine from. And well, guess what? There's only so many of them, and they have a whole bunch of people that have licensed their engine that they're trying to support. So rather than have to use support, and software from someone else and be held back by that, they have their own people. And here we are. Now they're integrating all these features that are going to make the game more performant and look better, and continue to future-proof the game as the game develops, rather than being stuck in the past. Level Cap actually did a really good video on all this, Level Cap Gaming, a couple of weeks ago. So I encourage you to go check it out, because it was a clickbaity title, but it was actually very fair and biased, and Level Cap is actually pretty damn savvy. So sorry, please continue.
He makes good, even videos. The engine question and argument always comes up, and there are several videos you can find going both directions, because there are pros and cons to going with a off the shelf and going with your own. Big con of going with your own, Bethesda. They've been locked into this creation engine, and it's such a buggy engine to start with, they have to keep breaking it to fix it. But then again, Space Engineers, or I guess Star System worked with this one too, no engine did what they needed it to do, so they just, Space Engineers wrote their own from the get-go. Just started with zero, built their own engine because they needed a physically based damage system so they can actually deform the ships and deform the constructs to actually have this kind of dynamic destruction model. So how Star Citizen did is actually fairly unique, where they started with an engine and broke it till there was nothing left of the original engine. That's actually quite unique. But you'll always have reasons to not do, either buying an off shelf or not, and reasons to do it, because there are so many reasons to do anything. Basically, you just need to figure out what is best for whichever project you're actually doing, not a cure-all.
It's expensive. I mean, it's not cheap to do all this research. Yeah.
It's also not cheap to have engine devs.
Yeah. These people aren't cheap, and it adds time to development, and because research and development, the research part of research and development takes up a lot of time and a lot of effort. and that takes away from another part of the equation, but here we are. There's anyone who says, oh, well, by the time it releases, Star Citizen is going to look outdated. You don't know what you're talking about. Straight up.
The thing with in-house engines, though, Brendan G is saying, hope Bethesda doesn't end up keeping the same system on life support. You almost never is 2 or 3 games built on the same engine. Even Crysis and all the stuff Crytek did, they were never on the same engine. They were either modifications or complete rebuilds using the same ideas. So I think CryEngine 3 was a complete rebuild from 2. They only had some code in common, but you couldn't translate a Crysis 2 code base directly over it. You needed some finagling to get it in there. And that's, I'm pretty sure, Mr. Todd Howard, Sir Dude Guy, had mentioned something like that in the Starfield Direct, that the creation engine they're working on is a very different creation engine than they've worked with before and that built Skyrim. So they continue to rebuild, refine, and to re-update, much like Star Citizen. We're watching Star Citizen build its engine, Star Engine, and what they're doing with that, ripping out the entire rendering thread and rendering engine to start piecing in their own, much like creation engine needed to rip out a lot of its stuff to make space work entirely. Like the entire how they load areas was needed to be replaced so they could render distance instead of 2K, 2 kilometers on the screen. They needed 4K, 8K kilometers to be seen from your spaceship. So engines are all live projects. Even if you buy one off the shelf, you're going to need to touch something. You're going to need to break something, get a plugin or something. Someone's going to need to touch the engine to break it. And it just depends on what you need the engine to do. Okay, I'm going to stop ranting about game engines down. AMD's memory allocation API was in backend, improving the system's stability, streaming speed, and the buffer read times. A reduction in streaming and rendering dependencies has improved performance, and new parameters will allow the devs to modify the render graphs, shader stage, and ownership state. These features were added alongside ongoing bug fixes to visual regression tests, with a focus on rendering or on the render to texture system. That was a lot of updates and performance talk in one paragraph. That's great. I like that they're at AMD. I don't know this one specifically, but AMD normally makes agnostic software, so it will work on either side. NVIDIA makes only NVIDIA stuff. AMD makes stuff that just works. So nice to see. And also Vulcan, please win. Next we have, as part of an ongoing UI refinement, the silhouette and highlight features are currently being improved with a softer and brighter outer glow. The minimap also received a ping effect, which will blink around objects for improvements in in-game navigation. Now, this is interesting. I don't know if you've noticed. Now, Trey, tell me if I'm wrong, but Star Citizen doesn't have a minimap.
No.
Right?
They're building
Why
one.
is the minimap saying, or the minimap line in the Star Citizen one? I'm not saying tinfoil hat anything. I'm just saying either they didn't take it out or the minimap may be closer than we think. That's all I'm saying.
I definitely think that minimap, star map. And so I'm assuming, well, there's minimap, there's star map, and then there's also the
Local map.
The local map, and they all work off the same base system, but look differently. And I think that way will probably all be integrated around the same time.
Yeah, I would absolutely imagine them being all in the same update because it's Squadron feature. It's a combined deliverable. Where mapping system is probably all being worked on by the same people so that they get the entire feature in, because also the objective needs to be vertically integrated. So you need to be able to see your objective on the world map, on the area map, and on your ship map. So it would make sense that it would all be being worked on and being finished around the same time. But hopefully, again, something we'll see at CitizenCon. The feature team is working to bring the new unified water shader to the game, adding details such as puddles and splash on an impact. That will be interesting. And fixing collision detection issues on large water volumes. Again, crashing ships into water. I want to see somebody do the Star Trek Into Darkness. Into Darkness? Yeah. Giant capital ship diving into the ocean. Mm-hmm.
Faux show.
So next time Invictus, after the shader comes in, we dip in the Bengal into the water. Actually, I don't think we're like able to move the Bengal. I think it just absolutely murders everyone. But we can do Idrises and javelins. I've seen that happen. A new system to manage water simulation is also in progress, as well as active region upon collision. Or that will activate. Yeah, activate regions upon collision, deactivate them when they have settled. Ooh, very nice. Are you
still on the PU side of the squadron part?
This is still PU. There's both.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
It's still both. Nice. I like that. I love water sim.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's water sim was my first favorite simulation. Light is my new favorite. So I've actually done some water simulation. It's actually really fun to do. It's actually really easy in Blender. And currently and consistently monitor and protect performance by eliminating active simulations. Meanwhile, a new hash map system for allocating water buffer regions and large surface area friendly water volumes is actively being worked on. So the new unified water buffer system can be enabled by default. Ooh, so we're close. We're very close to the new water buffer.
This is very important and more important than people realize because, we have rivers and lakes on Microtech. And we have larger lakes and I guess you call them seas and such on Hurston. But we have entire planets that are water worlds in Star Citizen in the lore.
Isn't there one with constant tsunamiing?
Yeah. Yeah, there's multiple water worlds in the Star Citizen lore. We don't know what systems for sure are in Squadron 42 and how much, but there are lots of planets that have large oceans as well. And so when you have a significant portion of your planetary space is covered by water, obviously you're going to, it would be not great if your water simulation was not a simulation, what we have now. And there's going to be gameplay involved with this.
The fact that Star Citizen is even attempting water simulation. When's the last space sim you knew that did water simulation? Like, there hasn't been. There just hasn't been. Nobody's done water simulation in a space sim before. Nobody would think to do that because, it's a space sim. It's not for that. When I think water sim, I'm thinking, builder games, survival games, where you have, a very close interaction with the water. Even stuff like the Spin Tires Runner series. Has very little interaction. You can get tire tracks to make bubbly water, but that's about it. But so Star Citizen, this game that is going to span trillions of kilometers in play space, has ships that are as detailed as some characters in games. Story with Squadron that spans, 300 pages? And it's all-star cast, countless hours of gameplay, and they're going to also, on top, a economy system that is unmatched anywhere else, and they're going to also simulate water when you hit it. It's just... They just keep making just these amazing things. And I'm just so glad that I know that Star Citizen exists. It is relentlessly my favorite game. And my favorite project to follow. All right.
It looks like... Gosh, it just keeps on going. I think we... So if I just went to the Star Citizen wiki... and we have like over 20 specifically named ocean planets. Like Ocean Planet, it's entirely an ocean planet. And
I mean,
and then
I
there's
think how they built-
lots of mention of oceans in plenty of other planets. But
I think how they built out the first pass on the universe was very desert world, ice world, water world, forest world, jungle world, lava world, rock world. And as they go back to them, I'm sure we will get not the removing the ocean planets, but much like Pyro, it's kind of a mixed bag on what we're going to get when we get there, because they'll go back and say we now have these things we can actually add. What was the planet with the lily pads that they hold races on that one of them collapsed?
I'm not sure.
Much more
The
than
one-
trillions of kilometers in place space when finished.
The one that is constantly in tsunamis is Tangaroa, which is in the Helios system.
I know the Helios one, because Helios was in Comet Crash, which was a PS.
And Green are both in Ellis. Green is where the Murray Cup is, and so the ocean planet also means that it's majority ocean. Like there can be islands and archipelagos. Like on Green,
there was one.
There are
one planet with
islands
lily
and
pads.
such, but
lily pads they built outposts on, and like luxury apartments and stadium seating to watch races. And one of them started sinking because of how many people were on it. And one of the racers said, "No, I'm not finishing the race. There's people dying over here."
I think it's Bacchus 2.
That sounds correct.
Yeah.
That's the place I want to go to. I don't know if anyone's played the very old Lego Majoran. Majoran? No, Majoran is Star Trek. Matoran? Little Bionicle game, basically. Being the God, I forgot all the terminology. The blue tribe lived on lily pad houses. I really liked. Dang it. Galley, I remember, was the Bionicle's name, but I don't remember what the tribe was. Galtorin or something. All right. Yeah, the World Builder saw a variety of improvements last month, including a major refactor to high-level logic that runs the background jobs, which should significantly reduce latency, avoid stalls, and simplify the code. In addition, Planet Ocean patches no longer render in duplicate. That's good. And the Planet streaming system was fixed for Gen 12. That's very good. That's a lot of overhead gone. Jeez. That's terrible. Like doubling shaders, that shaders are computational very heavy most of the time. Man. I think I like this way more than the engines category this time. Jeez.
Which part are you talking about?
World Builder. Last little bit of World Builder.
Oh.
I think Stanton's 64 trillion. Dang, like what number? Okay, Tree, you still have that document? That document, jeez. The spreadsheet. Can you repost the link to the spreadsheet with all the size of all the systems in the Discord?
Yeah,
and I don't know if I'll get around to it, but somebody go calculate the amount of play space in all the systems.
Oh God. Oh Lord. Is such a thing
if it's
possible?
An XLC, I might be able to do it in like 5 clicks. All right, last paragraph that's combined. The VFX programming team fixed issues impacting damage maps. Attached objects now correctly update their damage maps, and an issue causing unexpected data to appear in snapshots is being investigated. For VFX specific work, an issue preventing grouped child effects from spawning correctly was addressed, and bugs on Sporate. Oh, no, my thing just completely went the wrong direction. I zoomed in and it said no. There we are. Now, where did it go? Oh. Spawning was addressed, bugs, separator tags, and external references were fixed. And finally, on the squadron side, multiple squadron-specific issues were resolved. 2 such as gas cloud lighting problems, inconsistent damage maps, and a crash in Chapter 7. I like how they just... There was a crash in Chapter 7. It's gone now. We're fine. Which is like, why call it out? Just a crash. In addition, planet effects now use use a LOD cull to prevent unnecessary simulation when an object is out of bounds. The team added functionality to allow plasma ammunition to attach to characters. Oh, that sounds painful. Oh, no. Oh, that sounds very, very... Ow. All right. Very painful. All right, so back to you for in-game branding for 2 sentences, and I get a sentence, and you get a sentence.
Okay. So, a really good flight medic buddy of mine he works part-time down in the San Francisco Bay Area for an organization down there. And he just texted me. He's like, hey, I'm working with this EMT. And he's like super nerdy, crazy intelligent. He's also a mechanical engineer and fluid dynamics guy, and he's super into Star Citizen. And he's like, what's your Twitch and your YouTube? I'm gonna send him over to you. I was like, oh, cool, sweet. Okay, so in-game branding. Last month, in-game branding continued building various assets for an upcoming event and worked alongside locations on navigational signage for New Babbage. New Babbage is IAE this year. They also began work on the underground facilities, working closely with the concept and sandbox teams on different mock-ups for the commercial lobbies. Progress was made on the final touch-ups for Pyro, too. Yeah. Haha, nerdy person who likes to see, who knew? Yeah. Speaking of the two nerds on screen and the dozens of nerds who are hanging out in chat. And that was it for in-game branding, and back to you for interactables. And then
This is not enough words to do their work. They've been like doing some dang good work. Like, I don't know why we just don't get to see it. Like, we've seen more than we've heard, because like they did all the weights. They've done like the med kit and the socket work on the ISC and beyond, or SCL and beyond. Like, they're just doing some work. Maybe it's all in Squadron. July saw the interactables team close out the polish work for Pyro's consumables and shop and prop content. They also created content for subscriber flares. Like, that's like, they're done with Pyro, so awesome. What are they going to work on next? Back to you for lighting.
I wonder if we're not going to have like the trash cans like we have on the stations in Stanton. These are the trash cans that we get to throw things in Pyro. Just the open lid things with all the refuse lying around. The lighting team polished and cleaned up various locations around Pyro and worked on the system's gas clouds. Back in Stanton, they progressed with tasks for Crusader's new platforms. And back to you for... Wait. Lighting. Okay, yeah. So locations EU, Star Citizen.
And then you get Montreal. Okay. Yep. By the way, I just posted the equation into chat. That's how much play space we have according to the star map in kilometers. All right. The location team continued working on Pyro Rundown Station. Am I in the correct one? These aren't. Oh, yeah. These aren't marked. These should all be Star Citizen marked. I didn't mark these two.
Fail.
Yep. The location team continued working on Pyro Rundown Stations. Not Ruin Station, but Rundown Stations. With a focus on completing polished tasks. Man, Pyro's getting done nicely. They also improved signage around New Babbage, improved and bug fixed the new Crusader platforms, and worked with mission features on new content. The sandbox team progressed with Outpost for Pyro and continued their extensive work on updating the underground facilities. Interesting. Improvements were also made to Pyro's planets, and new technology for clouds looked into. Okay, so that's also interesting. So, so extensive work on updating underground facilities. Is this the new ones or the old ones? If it's updating, I would assume it's the ones we have. What extensive work are they doing to them?
The Sandbox team progressed with outposts for Pyro and continued their extensive work on the updated underground facility. I think they're just talking about the new ones.
Yeah, okay. And continue
Well,
their extensive work on the updated.
Yeah, because they also talked about their they'll come back to the mandate for the building interiors after they finish this stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what that's referring to.
Which player housing? Like I almost want underground facilities out so they can work back on building interiors so we can get player housing.
Yeah.
And then improvements were made to like new technologies for clouds looked into. Which God.
Well, we'll get to it in the research and development part, but they're doing a lot of work, research and development into making the clouds look even better. And I think they look good, but we also have all that artifacting that goes on in the edges, especially during certain light periods, and they're working on addressing that. So it's exciting to hear about.
Addressing and bettering.
Bettering.
And then location Montreal for you.
I honestly think we are not going to get active UGFs in Pyro. I think we're only going to see the abandoned ones.
That makes a lot of sense.
And for that, I'm very excited about because they've only really shown us these ones, the active ones in development. They only showed us concept art of the abandoned ones. And so I really think that when Pyro, and this is just speculation, caveat, I think that when Pyro and 4.0 launch, we'll get more locations added to Stanton to include outposts and UGFs in order to help balance out the whole rush to Pyro to go explore it. You'll have a whole bunch of outposts, and everything and POIs in Pyro, but I think we're also going to get the new outposts in Stanton, as well as the UGFs in order to fill out Stanton some more and balance it out as part of the release. Because if they have server meshing for both Stanton and Pyro, like the original plan was 2 servers for Stanton, 2 servers for Pyro, well, that means you can essentially double your POIs, your locations, and your entities for each one. And so if we're going to double the POIs and locations for Stanton, I don't think we're going to get there with just one patch, but I think they could add a whole bunch of UGFs to that first patch with 4.0 in order to give us something new that's in Stanton on top of an entirely new system.
Yeah,
but
and
that's just my thoughts.
A quick aside. Yes, I do think everything you said I agree with. Alex said, I thought the wormholes are needed for server meshing. I don't think they'll be done this year. I'm pretty sure jump points are done. Like, for what they need for server meshing, I'm pretty sure they've done. Because they talked about VFX work and a whole bunch of other work being done, and then we haven't heard about them. Pretty sure they're as done as they need to be for first release. Like, yes, they still have the multiple entrances and exits problem that I don't know if it's solved yet. But not hearing about something after hearing about it normally means it's at a point where they can stop working on it because they don't need to work on it. Like Pyro. We would like Nyx. Like Nyx is a perfect example because we heard, "Hey, we're updating Nyx. Hey, we've shelved Nyx because we're nowhere near working on it." So it's to the point where they wanted to work on it, and then they stopped for when they're going to use it. If we are 1 to 2 releases out, I think 1 to 2 releases out from server meshing, they definitely need jump points, and they've already said they're doing jump points for server meshing. They've not said anything about not doing jump points. There was some misconstrued stuff about being able to do something with the in-betweens of Pyro and Stanton with other server tech, not server meshing. But no, jump points, server meshing, Pyro, all the same update. So we've heard nothing to say otherwise. Do you already read your locations, Montreal?
Nope, sorry. Just got a text from my buddy.
Yep.
In July, Montreal's locations team progressed with additional derelict settlements. We've heard about this ongoing work. So I'm hoping that this is not just additional derelict settlements for Pyro, but getting more in Stanton, because more derelict settlements means more places for me to go find relics. But this is part of that conversation, though. They're not only doing the research and development and figuring out the pipeline for the production of POIs, but they're making a whole bunch in order to ramp up for the release of 4.0, because we know that they've been able to add some more, but they've been, with the release of Crusader, they're really butting up against that upper limit of how much they can include in a single server. That's the whole reason that they had to remove Delamar and Levski to add in Crusader Orison. So
and it's not even the math like what all, if we load it alone, are we able to fit in the server? It's if everyone's literally everywhere, how much can we fit in a server? They have to take every entity in the game into account when they do their calculations of how much we can put in the game. Or possibly a more realistic one, a median of what they can expect. So if there's somebody loading literally every entity, too much for the server and it will bog down. And if there's less, obviously it'll run better. But they can't overdo any one area too much because it just won't work at all. But so they have to do these kind of calculations to find that kind of median point. Alex said the point being faking server meshing or faking the meshing or faking the jump point if meshing is not ready to get to Pyro. No, they've also said that point blank, not going to happen. They can't do it. Like what we just talked about. How do you put two
I think what he's talking about is what they talked about where they're separating the tasks. And I think that's something that the community may have misinterpreted when they did that the Road to 4.0 server meshing task force video, is they talked about we're going to separate the task of jump points from server meshing. And really what they're talking about is they're separating the task of transitioning from one system to another via a jump point as far as the network is concerned from the task of server meshing. But I don't think that means that they're going to, it just means that it's going to be a separate, transitioning from Stanton to Pyro is different than transitioning from one part of Stanton from one server to another part of Stanton on another server, the way that it's handled.
I forget where they said it, but they've definitely said it since.
But yeah, they have also said that
video.
They're not going to, they could fake it, but they're not going to. And I think at this point, this late venture, it would be a waste of effort. Yeah. Because what we do need is an update on server meshing. But
much so.
With what we see on the progress tracker of the teams that are working on that deliverable, I don't think that we're, and what little we've gotten in the monthly reports, I don't think we're in any way, shape, or form in a place where they're struggling with it or, it's delayed or anything like that.
And if you think what you have to do to even transition with a loading screen between, let's say, just two servers, right? You're just loading between servers. You still have to convert all of that data over, which is most of the backend services they need anyway, is to convert all the stuff over from one server to the other. So at that point, maybe not most, but a lot of the work that's above that is kind of just your graphical stuff. So if you're going to have to transition all of this data between a server anyway, why not just do the graphics work that you already have mostly done? I heard them say no a while ago, and then again, they wanted meshing in this year. Do you have any reference for them saying no? Pyro is ready. Pyro is almost ready. Okay with waiting, just wondering. Yeah, as far as I know, I think as far as Tree knows, like I said, server meshing, Pyro, and jump points are all the same update still. So,
yeah, I think it would just to do it differently at this point would take dev effort away from just finishing it and getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been something they could have done years ago with Pyro and the state it was in back then, because that was the original plan, was to basically give us Pyro at the level of what Stanton was. And now when they give us Pyro, there's so much more to it because of the years that it's been in development while they figured out PES and server meshing. Well, while they figured out that iCache isn't going to work enough, and then moved on to PES and now are, working on server meshing. Is it back to me yet? Yeah. No, it's.
Is it? Did I not do my bit?
Level. Did you do level design?
I did not.
Okay. Level design, Squadron 42.
All right, Squadron 42. Level design's main focus throughout July was interstitials. We've learned that word a lot of months back, including bug fixing and maintenance. Basically, the in-betweens. Interstitials, the stuff that stitches other things together. With all of the team's scenes content now in-game, with all of the team's scenes content now in-game, again, all this closeout wording, I love it. They moved on to ensuring scenes reach the expected quality threshold and addressing specific details. For example, are characters in their correct outfits? Are they aligned to the environment? Yeah, to the environment / props. Do the interrupt rejoin points work as intended? Are they head tracking? Do they work from various approach angles? This significant undertaking requires working closely with Cinemax and gameplay story and character teams to iron out various issues. Outside the scenes, progress was made on fail states. For example, punching a colleague will see a player taken to the brig and getting a dressing down from a superior. Work continued. Work continued on save and checkpoints too. There we go. Sweet. Wow. Like I was talking earlier about what having the level design done. They sound also like they're in beta work. Like they're actually that for example is just that's all beta work. Wow. I know we keep what if we get a Star Citizen release date at CitizenCon? Like I've seen nothing since we've said that to dissuade me from thinking that.
Yeah, this is
level design, animation. What was the other one?
Well, they're working on bug fixing
AI.
and maintenance for interstitials. They're just maintaining the interstitial scenes within locations and the levels.
And that's the level design team.
Yeah, so as the other teams are going through stuff, it doesn't break anything.
Wow, okay.
I still think beta is going to be a year-long process, but I think we're going to get a hey, we are moving into beta at CitizenCon, and release date of I think release window of Q4 2024.
I would
to give themselves some breathing room.
I don't know if I'd want it to be Q4. I don't know
I want it to be sooner. I'm just saying I think that's giving a year of beta is reasonable, and Q4 is a good sales period.
That's the problem. The perfect storm for Squadron 42 is nothing else near its genre. No FPSs, no sci-fi games come out anywhere near it. So basically, what was it? Infinite Outpost just delayed, and one of the reasons could be its last
I've never even heard of that
release date. It's a base builder RTS FPS. It looks so dang cool. Basically, it actually looks a lot like a game I used to follow called Star Eden. Basically, you have this environment and there are aliens coming around.
Infinity Siege?
Yeah? What did I say?
Infinite Outpost.
It's the same difference. Fine. Anyway. Yes, that. One of the reasons they could have moved the release date is because it was going to come out right near Starfield and Armored Core 6 or something like that. So that would be a killer for that game. Nobody would play it during launch. And that's a really bad start to a game. You want to start loud. So if you're the only release within the month in sci-fi, FPS, RTS, space building, then you're loud. If you're another sci-fi game coming out in that month, you're gonna get run over, especially when you're not Bethesda and not Armored Core. Like, I think I got bit in my nose. So the best case for Squadron is to come out not near any other games. And as far as I know, like Christmas releases are one of the hottest periods in game releases. So I don't know of any games that are coming out end of next year yet, but like, I don't know if I want it to come out in a holiday season release. Like, yeah. Yeah. All right. Back to you for narrative. Half Squadron, half Star Citizen.
Let's see. We'll do the Squadron part since we're on here first. All right. So, narrative's focus in July was preparing for the 2 upcoming performance capture shoots. Dialogue is used to support so many gameplay features that there have been a lot of recent reviews to ensure that the tutorials, instructions, and help that the various characters provide are in alignment with the gameplay experience. The team also identified several dialogue triggers that occur more frequently than initially estimated. So they went back to capture more line variants so that players won't have to hear the same audio quite as frequently.
Hey, listen.
These recording sessions also mean that much of the team's placeholder dialogue will soon be replaced by the actual performances. People across the studio are making sure to enjoy these inspired temporary performances by fellow team members while they still can. Additionally, the team supported localization, assisting with subtitle validation. This process will be ongoing as some of the more recently captured audio still needs to go through the pipeline. It's important that the actual audio recordings are validated to the script to ensure that the subtitles are as accurate as possible, as often during the recording process, actors will slightly adjust lines to make them sound more natural. Narrative Star Citizen. Oh.
Anyone know if any of the actors have been called back yet?
What do you mean called back? Like John Rice Davies?
Well, yeah. Well, like, you have the initial setup, like they were just talking about. You have like the initial setup that they did. Everyone went and did their performances, and they've developed the game and they've had all these changes. Are there, like, normally, as far as I know, you have some like patchwork to do right before launch, so you have to call back in your talent to get the updates that you need for the lines if they've changed.
Yeah,
don't make any sense or need like some patchwork done.
I mean, they made a big deal about doing a callback for John Rice Davies.
Oh, they did? They already did that?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So now we're
good. He took a crap ton of pictures with a bunch of people at the Manchester studio, including.
Right, I forgot that.
Yeah, Demetrio too. Yep, that's a good point. Thank you for mentioning that, Danger Obo. Better not cross
so
the
they've
picket
probably
line.
done their whole
Yeah, no. Red. Yikes. Yeah. And I don't think they. Yeah, I'm sure that CIG
would it be
is very much
crossing the picket line for calling back actors.
No. He's just making talking about the strike part and.
Yeah, that was the writers. I didn't know employing actors was part of that.
No, it's not. He's joking about you better not. Like CIG is definitely on the side of of SAG-AFTRA and all that. I'm sure.
Well, they're an indie studio. Like they were bred from fair stuff. So like,
yeah,
they. I hope they are. Like, Mark Hamill's too busy quitting Twitter. Yeah. Oh, did he really? Oh no! And where is he now? Like, he's a fun guy to follow.
Othmion got me a code for what is it? Blue Sky.
Oh, blue. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't signed up for it yet. I need to do that. So P, can I just say I love this image. This office is pretty dang cool. Although the guy behind the desk, it looks big and buff and super intimidating.
I didn't even notice him. Oh, that's terrifying.
He looks jacked. Yeah.
Yeah, he does. That is terrifying.
Last month, Narrative continued syncing with the various design teams to push development on Pyro, specifically focusing on mission content, local mission providers, establishing the tone and voice of how missions will be presented. Mission providers. We're going to have mission givers in Pyro, thank God. and examining how the overall
This is the
mission
first time we've
system
heard.
will change when the new system is added. To answer that last one, it's led to some interesting discussions about missions that cross over from Stanton to Pyro and vice versa. These are the missions I've really been excited about, especially for bounty hunting, because you know you're going to be chasing bounties across, through the jump point and into Pyro.
This is the first time we've heard mission givers mentioned from the narrative side,
Yep.
because this is first we've heard after they've been given to the narrative team to what's it called, ownership to.
Now, well, so they say local mission providers, and they could just be talking about organizations. But I think that they probably are.
I think they're going to be doing
well
with mission givers what the gameplay team is doing with reputation. They're going to take the idea and spread it out.
Yeah.
So
and even if it's
there was the guy in the Shubin station. He was just some scummy guy. He wasn't like, I'm the leader of the scum organization. He was just some low-level guy who was giving missions out. So
I would even take just an NPC with a dialogue box, because not everybody needs to have voice lines and everything. If give us the opportunity to go pick up jobs that aren't, your generic hauling job or retrieval job that isn't a full-on narrative design thing with voice lines and all that for just Joe Schmo down at the corner store.
Well, I think that's exactly where the difference is. Like, missions can be that, but mission givers are supposed to be those cinematic things, and that's why they're given to literally the narrative team.
Yeah,
and that's eventually, once we get the whole dynamic mission system in, come on. Like, it won't be you're going to a mission giver to do a hauling job. You're going to a mission giver because that hauling job is going to lead to an espionage thing, going to lead to an underground facility, going to lead to, 5 systems away. Like, they're much bigger missions from mission givers. At least that's what I've seen them talk about. Like, mission givers are not like these, like, you're not going to a mission giver to get your dailies in.
Let's see. Elsewhere, the team supported the Misk Hull Sea by implementing the latest version of the air traffic control behavior, which will allow players to request a landing spot to load and offload their cargo. This also led to resurrecting work on the overarching ATC behavior with some potentially exciting updates that will be discussed in the near future. Oh, really? The narrative team is also expanding to include 2 dedicated narrative designers who will bridge the gap between between narrative design and AI.
Oh, wow.
They will look at all NPCs from mission givers to population characters and refine their behaviors to make them feel more alive and ultimately establish the tone and flavor of the game's various locations. For example, to make the people of Hurston feel distinct from the people of Orson, aka you need to be looking depressed and suicidal, and I need you to be all happy and touristy.
I was going to go with like business and uptight, not that other one.
Yeah. On the website, the team released some answers to the community's burning questions and another installment of Lore Makers, and published another installment of Galactopedia articles at the end of the month. This month's Galactopedia articles I really enjoyed. I did Lore Equals Gameplay the other night. That'll be up on my YouTube on, what's the date today? Sunday. So it should be up on Tuesday. I also did a react to ISC. I should do a Lore Equals Gameplay for the Lore Makers questions, but there are some really good ones in this Lore Makers community questions.
What does Finley taste like?
Yeah. Dark. But there are a couple other, some of them were kind of fluff, but there are some really good answers in here, so I should probably report on that.
I can't believe only that is 2 people. I can't believe they only have 2 narrative designers with that task. Your job is to not only work on mission givers and just the general population, your job is also to make sure that everything fits the tone of the game and also that people feel distinct in each landing zone. Like, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's go back to our favorite line. We love tools.
Yeah.
Subsumption.
Well, these are the narrative people. So they're more of the guiding hand. with the
Well, the
other
designers-
the other teams.
Design in their designer title, they get to touch levers. So
Mhm.
like they'll be able to touch these assumption things, and I don't know what they were going to be doing with mission givers, if they're going to be designing the mission givers. I'd imagine that with the rest of the narrative team, like the narrative team by and large will be thinking up the mission givers, and the designers will be the ones implementing these mission givers. Basically, they need someone who touches the engine to be able to implement the work that is now under the narrative team.
It's good that they're ramping that up, though.
Oh, very.
And
It's
they
very
could-
cool. See.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's just the first two, and they're going to hire more.
Oh, for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure that team, actually, those two designs, I'm pretty sure is exactly what I've been asking for. Someone to be able to be there to touch the game periodically to make it feel new again. So have like these little in-lore, inverse things.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think it's back to you for online services, Montreal.
You get
right?
R&D, jealous. All right. Yep. The
Yay.
online services team spent July further refining the new inventory ID feature and addressing issues that came up during the formal QA testing pass. Time was also spent working on a plan to refactor several of the backend services to the gRPC, as well as modernize them with new features. Lastly, the researched easy anti-cheat sections and enforcement. Lastly, they researched easy anti-cheat sanctions and enforcement. I can read. Now, what was the easy inventory ID? Nope, it only showed up here. All right, that doesn't help. And so did gRPC, but I'm pretty sure gRPC is actually a thing.
Yeah, I googled that
gRPC,
before.
generic, modern, open source, high performance remote procedure call. Yes, I remember looking this one up on another stream I did. Is an open platform as an open cross platform or open source cross platform with high performance and remote procedure call framework by Google. Yay! Thanks, Google.
Yeah, they've
yes.
talked about this in the past. That it was their goal to be able to do this, and now they're finally getting around to it. So,
is this going to help us connect the game and the website? Is that what that is? Is that
I don't know.
Cross-platform, remote.
Sounds like it. Could be.
It does. It does indeed.
Yeah.
I'll actually pin that to look into it more, see what gRPC does. I don't know what the inventory ID one is. I swear we've heard it before, but I don't remember what that was. Anyway, back to you for research and development.
Research and development, Star Citizen. In July, further updates were made to atmosphere and volumetric cloud rendering. Yes. Guided sampling used in the Cloud Ray Marcher was updated based on last month's improvements to transmittance profiles. The profiles themselves received additional filtering, stochastic resampling, to reduce occasional block artifacts due to profile reuse. Moreover, the temporal render mode currently being developed for atmosphere and volumetric clouds was switched to a low discrepancy based sequence of sample offsets that are used to set up rays for ray marching over time. Based on recent research publications, cloud shadow maps can now be stochastically filtered, which considerably improves performance and render quality. The new temporal render mode will use the stochastic feature or texture feature by default. So the research publication stuff they're talking about is research that Microsoft did that improved their clouds within Microsoft Flight Simulator. Same thing.
Oh,
and
nice.
A lot of this talk is in reference to the artifacting that we get in the clouds and their work to remove that and make them look better and be more, essentially be more performant as well.
Nice.
This also will not only the artifacting, but also continues to allow for better shaping of the clouds, more flexibility in the shaping. So, yeah,
Sweet.
Shaping, verticality, and such, making them voluminous and not just nebulous.
Ha! I'm out of drink. I can't drink.
Yep, same. Back to you, Nazeris, for UI And
one of my favorites for sure.
it looks like
We're gonna start out with a lot of Star Citizen and both, and then we'll move over to Squadron.
yeah.
So Star Citizen, then switch. UI made improvements to the data heist screen throughout July, which involved working closely with mission feature. They also worked on a style variant for screens throughout Pyro. Nice. The core technology team improved building blocks, runtime performance, as recent additions of new UI assets led to an increase in size and complexity. This involved coding more aggressive solutions for skipping hierarchy sections, updates, which led to a reduced CPU footprint and significant performance gains. Ooh, yay. The team also continued adding new features to building blocks and to buildings and building blocks,
including a color and building blocks.
Oh, I can't read. It's fine. To bindings and building blocks. Thank you, including a color picker. I read that the other day. Pagination. I don't know. I read it the other day. I swear. What is that word?
Pagination.
Pagination.
I'm guessing.
And shaped lines for the designer. Pagination, the sequence of numbers assigned to pages in a book. It's the little page number. It's a page number. Why can't they just say page number? I hate it. And shaping lines for design. I looked this up when I read through this. I did the brief read through on my own stream, just using the Discord thing, the summarized thing that shows up in Discord. This will be a real game changer for players, and we're really excited by its progress, said the UI, one of the UI teams that doesn't have a quote, or it got lost somewhere. Switching over to Squadron, July saw the UI team iterate on display layouts for Squadron 42's flyable vehicles to ensure they look and feel unique, but retain the ease of use built on throughout the project. The concepts for the second main vehicle of the game are now signed off and ready to add. The UI are working closely, and UI are working closely with the vehicle artists on the cockpit for the third. Nice. The multi-tool UI was also updated to make it much simpler and cleaner, while improvements were made to the AR markers and health widget. UI also updated several interaction menus and continued developing one of the key 3D displays in the game. That's the briefing room. The team also continued adding a new feature to bindings and building blocks, including I doubled that one for some reason. I don't know how I doubled it because I did.
Did you skip over the core technology team part?
Did I? What
the core technology team improved building blocks runtime performance.
No, I read that.
Nope. Yeah, you read that on the PU side. Yep, you're good.
Yep. All right. Nope, I read it all. Yep. Really cool stuff though. But yeah, key 3D display. Definitely like the one in the briefing room on the Idris.
Internal map. Gib.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of stuff in here. Before people are like, we hear color picker, because the first time I heard color picker, I'm like, ship colors by me. No, that's a color picker and pagination, stepping lines for devs, for making UIs, not for us, not even for like us to change our stuff inside the UI with, as far as I know, because how it reads is simply for devs to make better UIs. Wah, wah, wah. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff in here. All right, back to you for our last one, VFX.
Our last segment, VFX, starting on Squadron and then over to the PU. Star Citizen. The last month, the VFX team continued to focus on fire propagation. Fire! With the shader improvements from the previous month adding greatly to overall visual quality, the artists created new fire particles, including looping fire texture sequences, to work in harmony with the shaders. The results, though still work in progress, are very encouraging. Further improvements were also made to gas cloud lightning effects, including a new option to allow lightning to follow a moving vehicle. We're going to get zapped. VFX for Star Citizen. Yeah. last month, the VFX team continued working on the interiors and exteriors of several pyro locations. The visual style of these locations differs greatly from many Stanton-based areas, which has been a welcome challenge for the VFX artists, both technically and artistically. VFX team. They also completed their VFX pass on a size 5 bomb and 3 upcoming vehicles.
We did it!
Size 5 bomb is
A1.
A1, and the cluster bombs on the A2 are size 3, right? We don't have them yet. We just have the size 10, I
I
thought.
don't know.
I've honestly always-
I know, right?
Yeah.
Those UI cards, so good.
I have to get to bed. I have to wake up early in the
absolutely.
morning and get Junior ready to go to the nanny before I head to work myself. This has been fun. This has been a really good month of report, especially on the squadron side. But holy crap, a lot of ship work too, and the mission work. The mission work is sounding really great. I'm very excited for that stuff.
At least 3 teams saying they're in only beta work now.
Yeah. I
So-
feel like it was more than that. Beta and polishing. It was very, very promising. The language being used.
You want cluster bombs? Don't want those just be grenades. Just
Yeah.
get in the cutlass and start chucking like hand grenades out the.
Kind of reminds me of like World War I, where the pilot would just like lean outside the door after he'd pick up the bomb from his lap and then just drop it over the side. Yeah, I think that's probably about right.
What you do is you take your frag grenades, you tie a string to them, put them all in a bucket. Right, tie a string to the pin, put them all in a bucket, hold on to the string, and dump the bucket out the door. It's all the pins. You're good. I think you have cluster bombs.
Alrighty, but that's all we have for this evening. We just want to say big thank you to everybody who stuck around till the end of the episode and hanging out in chat. Really appreciate you. Thanks for all the really good conversation and the feedback. It was a lot of fun talking and hanging out with you guys. I know Soul Citizens had took off for the evening, but for those of you who came over from Soul Citizens and stuck around and gave me the follow, I really appreciate you guys. Really appreciate the support. If you haven't checked out my YouTube, it's it's just Tree0311 over on YouTube as well. Please consider checking out all the podcasts end up over there, including Armchair Admirals and Generals, and I have a few other videos. So please consider checking those out. Giving me giving likes and subscribes and helping the channel to grow. It helps the mission of supporting StackUp.org. Please consider checking out the Nova Forge as well, and the org itself.
Yep, Nova Forge. I think it's just Nova Forge on the organization side, and the Nova Forge both on Twitch and YouTube. For YouTube content or video content, I do information, opinions, and gameplay and tutorials. And then on the streamer side, I also do gameplay and information streams, including a 24 or 48, depending how it shakes out, CitizenCon watch party. So if you aren't able to go to CitizenCon, like many of the esteemed few that get to go, coming over and hang, and we'll hopefully have a lot of devs and especially some on-site call-ins that will be able to get a view off the stage, stuff that isn't going to be streamed elsewhere. So super cool. Hope to see you all there.
Alrighty. I got a suggestion to raid Abdi Johan. Abdi's a friend on Twitter. We've talked before. Really great person. So we're going to send him a raid and give him our love. And thanks again so much, everybody. And if you haven't checked out the Discord, I highly encourage you to join us in the Discord. Lots of great conversation. It's a very active Discord. And the link is on my YouTube page as well as on the Twitch page. All right, it looks like everybody's ready to go. We've got 29, 30 viewers ready to raid. Sending it now. Have a good night, everybody. Goodbye.
They're all gone, right?